Chapter 130. Bailey Han tightened his grip on the phone. Only he knew how shocked he was. What do you think about 4 o'clock every afternoon? No problem, I will send Xiao Bao there on time. Xia Dong paused and asked nervously, can I see Xiao Yi? Bailey Han was silent for a few seconds. Okay, I will arrange it. Actually, Bailey Han was also in trouble. He had just mentioned his idea to the old madam, but the old madam had vetoed it. No matter what, she would not allow Xia Dong's son to accompany Xiao Yi. Is it Xia Dong calling? Tell her that we don't need her fake kindness, and we definitely won't allow Xia Xiaobao to walk through the Bailey family's door. When Bailey Han picked up the phone, the old madam was in the living room, shouting angrily. Bailey Han was helpless. Grandma, I am doing this for Xiao Yi's sake. The old madam raised her voice. Xiao Yi has so many classmates. Why did she choose Xia Xiaobao? I hate Xia Dong. I will not allow anyone with the surname Qi to come close to our house. The old madam's stubborn temper was acting up again. Bailey Han was speechless. Grandma, although Xiao Yi has many classmates, she has never dated them. Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi have similar personalities. Who knows, she might be able to stimulate him. I don't understand. Why do you hate Xia Dong so much? The old madam choked and said angrily, there is no reason. I just hate her. Grandma, can you not be so unreasonable? Because of his son, he was already in a terrible fix. It was really hard for him to coax the old madam. He rubbed his eyebrows and said, I have already talked to Xia Dong. She will bring Xiao Bao over at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. I will try my best to rush back tomorrow. Why are you coming back? Are you worried that I will give her a hard time? Bailey Han's mouth twitched as he hit the nail on the head. Old madam exclaimed, no, I haven't agreed to let her come over. Grandma, he was at his wit's end with this stubborn old child, so he brought up his precious son. Grandma, do you want to see Xiao Yi continue to be like this? Trust me, doing this will be good for Xiao Yi's condition. The old madam turned her gaze and saw her precious great-grandson standing by the window in a daze. The resentment and anger in her heart gradually dissipated. She had heard of Xia Xiaobao and knew that he was very smart. Every time her little great-grandson mentioned him, he would gnash his teeth in anger. She wasn't that old and senile. She could tell that although they were rivals, there was a faint sense of empathy between them. Perhaps, Xiao Bao could really stimulate Xiao Yi and improve his condition. She pondered and struggled for a long time, unable to make up her mind. Suddenly, Xiao Yi, who was standing by the window with her back facing them, turned around and silently sat by the chessboard to play chess with herself. Bailey Han said indifferently, Grandma, do you want to keep watching Xiao Yi play chess with yourself? Which child of the same age didn't play in groups? Only Xiao Yi was always alone and didn't have any friends. The old madam closed her eyes and sighed. Forget it, forget it. Let them come. However, I have a condition. You can't let Xia Dong see Xiao Yi. If the mother and son met, what if Xia Dong had any ideas? Bailey Han frowned. I've already promised her. A strange smile appeared on the old madam's lips. So what if you've agreed? Anyway, the decision is in my hands. Don't worry, I won't embarrass her tomorrow. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Xia Dong drove the BMW with Xiao Bao to the old Bailey residence. A servant led them in. The housekeeper was waiting at the door and bowed politely. Miss Xia, please rest in the living room. Young Master Xia, please follow me upstairs. Xia Dong's eyes moved. Housekeeper, I want to go upstairs to see young master. The housekeeper looked troubled. Miss Xia, I'm very sorry. Without the old madam's permission, no one can see young master. Bailey Han had already promised her, but now the old madam jumped out to block her way. Xia Dong wanted to flip out, but she thought that there was still a long way to go, so she controlled herself. She bent over and reminded Xiao Bao, Bao Bao, remember mommy's words. You have to be friendly to Xiao Yi. Don't worry, Mom. I know what to do. Xiao Bao pouted disapprovingly. He waved his hand and swayed his little butt as he followed the housekeeper upstairs. Xia Dong watched their figures disappear at the top of the stairs before she sat down on the sofa. Immediately, a servant came forward to make her a cup of tea and considerately brought her newspapers and magazines. The living room was very quiet. The servant looked down and stood to the side. Xia Dong casually flipped through the magazine. On the surface, she looked like she was staring at the magazine, but in reality, she was listening attentively, hoping to hear what was going on upstairs. However, she was disappointed. Other than the sound of her flipping through the magazine, she couldn't hear anything else. On the second floor, Xia Xiaobao swaggered into Bailey Yi's room. In front of the large floor-to-ceiling window, a small figure was sitting on the ground. He was facing the window, holding a thick book and reading quietly. There were many books scattered around his feet. Xiao Bao glanced at the housekeeper standing at the door. His pink cheeks puffed up, and he quickly ran to Bailey Yi's side. He squatted down and looked at the book in his arms. He exclaimed, "Not bad, you're actually reading Sun Tzu's Art of War. Can you understand it?" Bailey Yi ignored him and focused on reading his book. Sigh, so boring. Xiao Bao shook his head and sat down. He moved his little butt to Bailey Yi's side and nudged him with his elbow. "Hey, you jerk, I'm a guest and you're the host. How can you leave me here and read by yourself?" That kid poked the young master. The housekeeper was on high alert, waiting for his young master to scream and fly into a rage. But to his surprise, he did not react at all. The housekeeper could not help but rub his eyes, thinking that he was seeing things because of his age. Oh, you jerk, at least pay attention to me." Xiao Bao had been acting alone for a long time and was starting to go crazy. He shamelessly lay on the ground and rolled around, bumping into Bailey Yi from time to time. He did not dodge, nor did he scream. He was as quiet as a statue. The housekeeper, who had been standing upright, began to stiffen. His eyeballs were about to pop out of their sockets. He was not seeing things. The young master did not reject Xia Xiaobao's touch. It was too touching. He had to report this to the old madam immediately. The old housekeeper threw the surveillance mission that the old madam had given him to the back of his mind. He ran out of Bailey Yi's room with tears streaming down his face and rushed up to the study on the third floor. His footsteps were so vigorous that it was impossible to tell that he was in his 60s. Xia Xiaobao glanced at the empty doorway and quickly rolled to Bailey Yi's side. He kicked his little butt. "Hey, Bailey Yi, there's no one here now. You don't have to pretend anymore." Bailey Yi did not move or speak. Xia Xiaobao climbed up and moved closer to him. He blinked his big eyes and looked at him. "Bailey Yi, I asked you to pretend that you were hurt by an annoying woman. Your father, who dotes on you, will definitely hate that woman. I didn't expect you to be such a genius and come up with something like autism. I can't even go to Italy because of you. You're so annoying." Bailey Yi still didn't speak. He quietly flipped through the pages of the book. F***ck, are you addicted to pretending? Xia Xiaobao was angry. No one had ever dared to ignore him to such an extent. He snatched the book from Bailey Yi's hand and threw it to the door. A pair of feet and a crutch appeared at the door. The old madam lowered her head and glanced at the book, Sun Tzu's Art of War, lying at her feet. Then, she calmly looked at Xia Xiaobao. This was the first time she had looked at Xia Xiaobao carefully. The short man was wearing a white t-shirt and denim shorts. His facial features were extremely delicate and he was not inferior to her precious great-grandson. He blinked his bright eyes innocently and had an innocent smile on his pink cheeks. His handsome and cute appearance made people want to take pity on him. The old madam smiled kindly. "You're Xia Xiaobao?" "Yes." Xiaobao wasn't afraid at all. He straightened his little body and raised his little chin to introduce himself seriously. I'm Bailey Yi's classmate, Xia Xiaobao. The old madam walked over with her crutch and said with a smile, Xiaobao, thank you for coming to visit our Xiao Yi. You're welcome. He had an arrogant look on his face. Although I don't really like Bailey Yi, my mommy told me to be friendly to my classmates. So, I will reluctantly visit him every day. The old housekeeper behind the old madam stumbled and almost fell. He wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. The old madam didn't mind his rude words. In fact, she liked his straightforward personality. She nodded approvingly. Xiaobao, you and our Xiao Yi have similar personalities. I think you two will become good friends. Unfortunately, Xiaobao was Xia Dong's son. She really didn't want to have anything to do with that woman. The old madam's smile gradually faded when she thought of this. She said indifferently, what game were you playing just now? Why did you throw the book at the door? Xiaobao keenly sensed the change in her attitude. He snorted softly and walked over to Bailey Yi. We were competing to see who could throw the book further. Bailey Yi, don't you think so? He patted Bailey Yi's shoulder with his small hand. The old madam and the old housekeeper widened their eyes. What a miracle. Xiao Yi really didn't scream or flip out. Although he didn't answer, he didn't reject other people's touch. This was a huge improvement. The old madam couldn't help but reach out her trembling hand and slowly place it on Bailey Yi's shoulder. He didn't scream. He was very quiet, quietly looking at the scenery outside the window. The old madam's eyes couldn't help but redden. She was so emotional that she covered her mouth and held back her tears. Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 131. Old Madame Dowager wanted to hug his soft little body tightly, but she didn't dare and forced herself to hold back. He was looking out of the window with all his attention. She followed his gaze and saw a few pots of flowers blooming on the balcony. There was nothing special about them, but he was looking at them very seriously. Old Madame Dowager had mixed feelings. She was happy and sad at the same time. When she looked at Xia Xiaobao again, her eyes were sincere. Xiaobao, Xiao Yi seems to like you a lot. Come and accompany him every day in the future. If you need anything, just tell Great-Grandma. Great-Grandma will definitely satisfy you. Xia Xiaobao was a little angry. This old grandma wasn't cute at all. She was warm to him one moment and cold to him the next. When she saw that he could be used, she immediately seduced him with benefits. Humph. But his mother had told him not to get into a conflict with Bailey's family, so he reluctantly paid attention to her. He blinked and revealed a sweet and innocent smile. There were even 2 cute dimples on his cheeks. Great-Grandma, can I have anything I need? Old Madame Dowager nodded. His smile became even sweeter. I want my mommy to play with us. My mommy knows a lot of games. With her company, Bailey Yi will definitely recover faster. It was so boring to play with just the 2 of them. Also, his mother seemed to want to visit Bailey Yi very much. Although he didn't know why, he was happy as long as his mother was happy. Old Madame Dowager frowned. He puffed up his cheeks and said angrily, you can't even agree to such a simple request. Sigh, you adults just like to go back on your words. Old Madame Dowager struggled for a few seconds but still refused. This condition won't do. Xiaobao, change it. Xiaobao waved his little hand impatiently. Forget it. Adults are so wishy-washy. I'm so annoyed. I'm going back first. He moved closer to Bailey Yi and chuckled. Bailey Yi, I'll be leaving first. I'll come back to see you tomorrow. I'll bring you something fun tomorrow. Regardless of whether Bailey Yi was pretending or not, it was very boring to just sit there all day. He would be kind and save him this time. After all, he was a good person. Xia Xiaobao stroked his chin and smiled proudly. Old madam, the old butler looked at Xia Xiaobao, who was skipping away, with an awkward expression. Forget it, let him go. Xiao Yi is no longer against other people touching her. That's already a huge improvement. Old Madam shook her head. In the living room, Xia Dong heard footsteps running up the stairs. She looked up and saw Xiao Bao running over with a smile. She hugged him and wiped the sweat off his forehead. Baby, why are you running so fast? How's Xiao Yi's condition? Is it serious? Xiao Bao puffed up his cheeks and thought for a few seconds. It seems quite serious. He didn't pay attention to me from beginning to end. I just kept talking to myself. Xia Dong's body stiffened, and her expression turned ugly. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes and said, but I heard from that grandma that his condition is getting better. He didn't scream when I touched him. Xia Dong's frown eased. As long as there was hope for him to get better, it was fine. Holding her son's hand, she walked out of Bailey's house. Xia Dong went to the parking lot to get her car. She saw a Lamborghini drive over and stop in front of her. The car door opened, and a handsome and tall figure stepped out of the car. He was wearing a black shirt with the top 2 buttons unbuttoned, revealing his sexy chest. He wore tight jeans that hugged his enchanting waist and perky butt. He wore a pair of sunglasses that revealed his high nose and thin lips. He swung his beautiful long legs gracefully, and his devilish aura was unstoppable. She hadn't seen Bailey Yun for more than a month. She didn't expect him to be even more devilish than before. Bailey Yun put a finger to his mouth and whistled. A snow-white furry thing suddenly jumped out of the back seat of the Lamborghini. It happily swung its long fur and pounced on Bailey Yun. All right, Daodu, stop fooling around. Bailey Yun patted the big dog's head and ruffled it. A handsome man who looked thin and weak walked over gracefully with a big dog that weighed more than 50 kilograms. Xiao Bao tugged at Xia Dong's arm. Mom, what kind of creature is that? Xia Dong whispered, Son, that's the legendary Tibetan Mastiff. Bailey Yun took off his sunglasses and raised his foxy eyes. His lips curved into a cold smile. Oh, isn't this the fiancé of the great CEO Beitang? Xia Dong's mouth twitched. Fox, we haven't seen each other for more than a month. Is it necessary to mock me as soon as we meet? Bailey Yun's smile was cold. So you still remember me? I'm really honored. It's harder than ascending to heaven to see you. This woman had gotten engaged out of nowhere. He wanted to ask her about it, but he was always stopped by strange people. Later, he heard that she was sick. When he went to her house, the nanny said that she wasn't around. In short, it was harder than ascending to heaven for him to see her. Fox, is there a misunderstanding here? Xia Dong had never seen him looking for her. She was also entangled with trivial matters and had never contacted him. Bai Liyun took a deep breath. His beautiful foxy eyes narrowed as he said indifferently, Forget it. I'll be angered to death by you sooner or later if I bicker with a heartless woman like you. Hey, you're not allowed to reject my calls anymore. I didn't. Xia Dong immediately retorted. I didn't receive any calls from you at all. Bailey Yun frowned. His eyes suddenly turned cold and he stretched out his hand. Give me your phone. Xia Dong was puzzled. She took out her phone and handed it to him. He took the phone and fiddled with it for a while. Suddenly, he sneered. You've blacklisted my name. No wonder you can't answer my calls. I've never done that before. Xia Dong hurriedly explained. You don't have to explain. I think I know who did it. Bailey Yun's lips curled into a sloppy smile. It seems that your fiancé is very strict with you. This Mika Keto is really going all out to get rid of her love rival. Xia Dong instinctively retorted, No, Brother Shen isn't that kind of person. Bailey Yun's heart suddenly ached, but he still had a frivolous smile on his face. He pinched a strand of her hair with his fingers and leaned over to smell it. How intimate. No wonder you two even have a child. He glanced at Xiao Bao, who was standing beside Xia Dong's feet. Fox, Xiao Bao isn't, Xia Dong wanted to explain, but she swallowed her words. Forget it. You can think whatever you want. Xiao Bao, let's go. She opened the car door and carried her son into the car. She sat in the driver's seat expressionlessly. Damn it. Why didn't she explain? Was she really going to run away with another man? Bailey Yun gritted his teeth as he watched Xia Dong drive away. He was so angry that he stomped his feet. Lil P jumped over and rubbed her furry face against Bailey Yun's arm. Bailey Yun smiled bitterly. Lil P, it seems that you're the only one who knows me best in this world. Lil P rubbed against him affectionately. He chuckled and led Lil P to the old mansion. What are you doing here? Old Madame Dowager got angry when she saw Bailey Yun's sloppy attitude. Of course, she did not treat him well. Bailey Yun lowered his eyes to hide the coldness that flashed across his eyes. He stroked Lil P's furry head and said, "Didn't the psychotherapist say that raising animals is good for treating autism? That's why I brought Lil P over to accompany Xiao Yi." Lil P stuck out her long tongue and stared at old Madame Dowager eagerly. She wagged her furry tail in a fawning manner. Unfortunately, she was too small to be cute even if she tried to act cute. Old Madame Dowager frowned in disdain and pointed at the huge creature in the living room. Are you sure this fellow won't scare Xiao Yi? Bailey Yun's mouth twitched. Xiao Yi has liked Lil P since she was young. Lil P also likes her very much. Grandma, do you remember when Xiao Yi shaved all of Lil P's fur when she was 3 years old? Lil P did not even make a sound. If it were anyone else, Lil P would have bitten off an arm before they could even pluck a single hair from Lil P's body. Old Madame Dowager thought about it. There was indeed such a thing. At that time, the big guy had a bald butt and was depressed for a long time. She hid at home and avoided people. Butler, clean Lil P and send her to young master's room. Bailey Yun was speechless. He had just cleaned Lil P up before leaving the house. She smelled good all over, okay? Lil P, woo-woo T to the power of T. She despised him. Lil P also had dignity. When the servant was bathing her, she fiercely splashed the servant with water. Bailey Yun took Lil P upstairs. Xiao Yi was still sitting by the window, quietly reading a book. Bailey Yun called his name, but he did not respond. Lil P barked at him twice, but he ignored her. Bailey Yun felt sad. When he first found out that Xiao Yi was autistic, he thought it was a prank by Xiao Yi. However, a week had passed, and she still did not get better. Bailey Yun started to worry. He specially brought his beloved dog over to accompany Xiao Yi. Compared to the silent Xiao Yi now, he missed the little devilish Xiao Yi very much. Bailey Yun bent down and wanted to rub Lil P's head. However, he was worried that it would agitate Lil P, so he could only give up and sit beside him. He stretched out his long arm and hugged Lil P's furry head. He chuckled softly and said, "Xiao Yi, look who I brought over for you." There was no response. Lil P was disliked before, and now he was being ignored again. She was unhappy. She rubbed her head against Xiao Yi's head and licked his face with her long tongue, leaving saliva all over his face. Her furry paws were not idle either. From time to time, she would bend her legs and jump around like a frog to attract his attention. Xiao Yi still did not respond. Lil P was so tired that she was panting. She lay on the ground and looked at Bailey Yun with tears in her eyes. Bailey Yun smiled and stroked her head. "Lil P, you're not working hard enough. Look, Xiao Yi is still ignoring you. Woo-woo, don't hurt a dog like this." Ad. Hongcha 866. Chapter 132. Lil P rolled around on the floor with tears streaming down his face. Although his body was huge, he was extremely nimble. He was very careful not to bump into Xiao Yi. Otherwise, with his size, it was very likely that Xiao Yi would have been sent flying. Bang! He knocked over a chair and knocked over a pile of books. Lil P rolled around agitatedly among the books all over the floor, his fur flying everywhere. In the past, Xiao Yi loved to make him roll around on the floor. Bailey Yun carefully observed Xiao Yi's reaction. His eyes seemed to move a little. Bailey Yun hurriedly gestured to Lil P. Lil P rolled in front of Xiao Yi and rubbed his face with tears brimming in his eyes, trying to please him. Xiao Yi's eyes moved again. He slowly reached out his small hand and gently stroked Lil P's furry face. Ow ow, Lil P howled excitedly. He sang loudly and happily rubbed against the back of his hand. Bailey Yun was as excited as Lil P. He hugged Lil P's head and kissed him fiercely. His eyes were shining with joy. Lil P, good job. We'll leave Xiao Yi to you. You have to be responsible for curing him. The butler, who was guarding the door, ran away in tears. Old madam, young master's condition has improved again. Asterisk on the way home, Xia Dong had already made a big decision. She was going to attend an autistic rehabilitation therapy class to learn related knowledge and help Xiao Yi recover as soon as possible. Now that she had resigned, she had a lot of time to do what she wanted to do. When Mika Keto got home, she told him her thoughts. He was silent for a while and expressed his support for her decision. After coaxing the children to sleep, Mika Keto still hadn't left. Xia Dong hesitated for a moment and said, "Brother Shen, I met Bailey Yun today. He said that he had looked for me before and even called me, but I didn't know even once." She didn't say anything else, but her eyes were full of questions. Mika Keto's expression was calm. "I was the one who got someone to stop him. I was also the one who blacklisted his number on your phone." "Why?" Xia Dong did not understand. Bailey Yun was not a bad person. There was no need to guard against him. "Because I'm worried that he'll kidnap you. He's a famous playboy." He didn't look like he was joking. Xia Dong's face darkened. "Brother Shen, I'm already an adult. I have the ability to distinguish and reason. What you're worried about will never happen." She began to wonder if the sudden disappearance of her admirers back in Japan was also because of him. He stroked her head and smiled. "Silly girl, you can also think of it as me being jealous, Brother Shen." Xia Dong felt helpless. "Don't do such childish things anymore, okay?" He laughed. "Okay, but you have to promise me that you won't go out alone with Bailey Yun." She was speechless. "Bailey Yun is a good person. He won't do anything to me." The smile on his face widened. "You can still think of it as me being jealous." Xia Dong wanted to scratch the wall. When did Brother Shen become so unreasonable? Without thinking, she blurted out, "Then why aren't you guarding against Bailey Han?" Mika Keto's eyes narrowed. Bailey Han and she even had a child. How could he not know that Bailey Han was the most threatening one? However, when she was kidnapped, he needed Bailey Han's help. There was no way he could exclude Bailey Han from the two of them. As for the others, they weren't so lucky. He was even considering if he should blacklist Xiao Tianxing as well. What a terrifying possessiveness. He smiled faintly and said insincerely, "Because I know that you don't want to have anything to do with Bailey Han, so he's not worth being afraid of." All right, he hit the nail on the head. Xia Dong and Gigai shut their mouths. After sending Mika Keto off, it was already past 10 o'clock. Xia Dong went to the children's room to take a look. The two little guys were sleeping soundly. She smiled and gently closed the door. When she returned to her room, she dialed Bailey Yun's number. "Fox, it's me, Xia Dong." Bailey Yun was drinking at the bar when a beauty came over to chat him up. He pushed her away and picked up the phone. Hearing her hesitant voice, he could imagine her hesitant look at the moment. He narrowed his eyes slightly. "Do you want to ask about Xiao Yi's condition?" Xia Dong grunted and kicked the ground with the tip of her foot. "You brought the dog over today to keep Xiao Yi company, right? How is his condition now?" His heart was filled with resentment. If it wasn't for Xiao Yi, she wouldn't have taken the initiative to contact him. Although he was unhappy, he still told her about Xiao Yi's condition in detail, including how he began to sense the outside world and took the initiative to touch Lil P. Xia Dong was overjoyed. She said nervously, "Fox, I want to see Xiao Yi. Do you have any way to help me?" Bailey Yun's tone softened a little. "You know that my grandma treats Xiao Yi like a treasure and protects him tightly. It's impossible for you to get close to him." She smiled awkwardly. "I know. Just pretend that I didn't ask." Bailey Yun's lips moved. He wanted to say something but didn't. Xia Dong said softly, "Fox, I didn't contact you for a long time because something happened to me. I didn't mean to ignore you. Don't be angry, okay?" "Idiot." Bailey Yun scolded softly. He wasn't angry because of this. He was angry because he didn't hear from her and had worried him for so long. They finally met, but she was still holding her and Mika Kito's son. She tried to please him in a small voice. "Go ahead and scold me. Remember to forgive me after you're done." Bailey Yun was angry and amused at the same time. When he imagined her carefully trying to please him, his heart softened. He coughed and pretended to be fierce as he shouted at her, "What's going on with you and Mika Kito? Didn't you say that you didn't want to get married? Why do you want to marry him? Or do you just not want to marry me?" He shouted a lot. Xia Dong rubbed her ears in distress. "Okay, I'll be honest. Actually, this is a misunderstanding. Brother Shen's proposal was just an act. So, you're not engaged?" Bailey Yun was ecstatic. He stood up quickly, scaring the beauty who was about to approach him. "Yes, I'm only telling you. Don't tell anyone else." Xia Dong dug her ears. "Why?" Bailey Yun was very dissatisfied. Did she want to make the act with Mika Kito real? Xia Dong wanted to poke his head with her finger. "Are you stupid? If your family finds out that I don't have a fiancé, they'll definitely think that I'm trying to seduce your brother. My engagement status is my protection." Bai Lian narrowed his eyes and impatiently pushed away the beauty who was trying to strike up a conversation with him. "All right, this reason is still reasonable. But I'm warning you, you're not allowed to turn the act into reality with Beitang Shen. Even if they were to turn the act into reality, it would be with him." "Okay." She wouldn't make the act real with anyone. Hearing his exasperated voice, she felt very warm. Finally, she didn't lose him as a friend. He was silent for a moment before he finally asked, Xia, Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai, are they really Mika Kito's children as the newspaper said?" She gripped the phone. "Fox, is it important who the father of the children is?" "It's very important. I really want to know." He had been absent from her life for 5 years. He already felt that he couldn't catch up with her, let alone 2 children suddenly. She said softly, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you." He was silent for a long time, so long that Xia Dong mistakenly thought that he had hung up the phone. He suddenly said, "It's fine if you don't want to tell me. One last question. Do you love the father of the children?" She thought about it seriously and said, "No." Bailey Han was very good. She only felt sorry for him, not love. Bailey Yun heaved a sigh of relief. As long as she didn't love him, at least he still had a chance. The next day, Xia Dong sent Xiao Bao to the old Bailey mansion on time. She was blocked downstairs by the butler again. She sat in the living room waiting for her son. She was holding a magazine in her hand, but she couldn't read a single word. In front of the old Bailey mansion was a wide lawn and garden. Through the window, she saw servants weeding and catching insects in the garden. There was also a servant under the grape trellis, bathing the Tibetan mastiff named Daodu with a shower head. Whoa, the Tibetan mastiff's huge body suddenly jumped up. Its long fur fluttered, and the poor little maid was drenched in water. Xia Dong was speechless. She saw clearly that the little maid was bathing Daodu as if she was bathing her enemy. She was scrubbing its fur fiercely. It would be strange if it wasn't angry. It seemed that she had no experience in taking care of pets. Anyway, she had nothing to do, so she might as well help her. Xia Dong looked at the maid who was standing in the living room with her head lowered. She greeted her and walked out of the living room. The leafy grapes blocked the summer sun. Xia Dong walked to the flustered little maid and smiled kindly. Don't use so much force. It will be unhappy. The little maid was about 17 or 18 years old. Her whole body was wet from the water droplets that Dao threw out. She touched her hair embarrassedly. The old lady asked me to wash it clean, so if you don't mind, I'll help it wash. Xia Dong rubbed Dao's wet head. It didn't show a fierce expression like other Tibetan mastiffs. Instead, it naturally enjoyed her touch. How can I do that? You are a guest. Miss Xia, you'd better go back to the living room. It's okay. I have nothing to do anyway. By the way, what's your name? Xia Dong took the comb on the ground and gently combed Dao's tangled hair. The little maid smiled shyly. My name is Yi Lu. Miss Xia, you can call me Xiao Lu. Xia Dong said as she combed Dao's hair. Xiao Lu, before bathing the pet, you can use the comb to comb its hair. You can remove the fur balls and hair knots. You can also pick up the dirt on its body. After combing its hair, Xia Dong asked her to take a cotton swab and put it in Dao's ears to prevent water from flowing into its ears and causing otitis media. You can also apply eye ointment to the eyes to prevent water and infection. Xia Dong used her fingers to gently apply the eye ointment. With every step, she explained the purpose of her actions once more. Yi Lu kept nodding, her face full of admiration. Miss Xia, you know so much. Have you had a pet before? Xia Dong poured a special pet bath gel onto her palm, rubbed it into foam, and then applied it on Lil P's body. She smiled and said, I used to have a schnauzer when I was in Japan, but after I came back to China, I stopped having one. In fact, not only had she bathed dogs, she had also bathed horses. Wow, that's amazing. The little girl was so innocent. She looked at Xia Dong with admiration. With one teaching and the other learning, the two quickly became familiar with each other. Xia Dong found out a lot about Xiao Yi. She knew that he was a child prodigy like Xiao Bao and was a master of Go at a young age. She knew that he was serious and was like an adult. The only thing that made him look like a child was that he liked to eat sweets. She also knew that he didn't like Su Yunxian and didn't want her to be his mommy. Xiao Lu smiled embarrassedly. Miss Xia, that's all I know. I just came here not long ago and I've been helping out in the kitchen. Xia Dong smiled. I know, I'm just curious. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this. Okay. Xiao Lu smiled and nodded. Xia Dong patted the clean Daodu. Daodu, get out of the bathtub and shake the water off your body. Daodu seemed to understand her words and stepped out of the bathtub gracefully. Xia Dong quickly pulled Xiao Lu back to prevent them from being affected by the water that Daodu threw out. In the end, Daodu seemed to be doing it on purpose. It ran to their side and shook the water off. Xia Dong quickly dodged and stepped on the steps. Xiao Lu was also dodging and bumped into her from the front. She lost her balance and fell backwards. Miss Xia, Xiao Lu hurriedly pulled her. But her hand was still a little short. Seeing that she was about to fall, Xia Dong was already prepared to use her hands to support her abdomen. But the expected fall did not happen. After a series of rapid footsteps, she was supported by a pair of strong arms around her waist. Although it was only 2 steps, suddenly slipping and falling still made her heart beat faster. Xia Dong rested for 2 seconds in the arms of the person who came and quickly stood up straight. Thank you. She turned to thank him and saw Bailey Han's dark and handsome face. He looked at her coldly. His cold lips were pursed tightly, as if he was angry. She was stunned and at a loss. Thank you, can you let go of me first? His hands were still on her waist. As she turned around, their posture was extremely ambiguous. His deep eyes were filled with coldness. Aren't you pregnant? Why are you so careless? I'm sorry, she instinctively apologized, but quickly realized that something was wrong. He had saved her in a critical moment. It was normal for her to thank him. Why did she have to apologize to him? Young master, it's all my fault. I accidentally bumped into Miss Xia. Please don't blame Miss Xia. Xiao Lu apologized in a panic. Bailey Han did not even look at her. He stared at Xia Dong without blinking. Have you always made Mika Keto worry like this? Ad Shinwu 799. Chapter 133. She was already an adult. Why did she feel so ashamed after being mocked by him? Was she really too worrisome? She lowered her head and refused to look at him. Please let go of me before you teach me a lesson, Bailey Han snorted coldly. He wanted to strangle this woman who made his heart beat faster. However, he didn't let go. Instead, he forcefully held her waist and brought her to the flat ground before slowly retracting his hand. Xia Dong slowly exhaled. She touched the tip of her nose and smiled. Why are you back so early today? As a workaholic, shouldn't he work until 7 or 8 o'clock before coming home? It was only 4 o'clock now. Why was he here? Bailey Han was in a bad mood. Even his tone wasn't good. This is my home. Do I need to report to you when I come back? No need, no need. Young master, you can do whatever you want. Xia Dong wiped her sweat. She must be crazy to ask him such an idiotic question. He was a big boss and could skip work at any time. What are you waiting for? Why aren't you leaving? Bailey Han took 2 steps and found that Xia Dong wasn't following him. He frowned impatiently. Xia Dong scratched her head. Where are we going? He snorted. Don't you want to see Xiao Yi? Oh, yes. You agree to let me see him? A look of surprise quickly appeared in her eyes. He grunted. Although his face was still sour, his mood was much better. Stupid woman, why did she think he came back early? He knew that grandma wouldn't allow her to visit Xiao Yi, so he came back early to take her to see their son. He kept comforting himself that he wasn't helping her. He just wanted to know why she wanted to see Xiao Yi. They walked one after the other to the old mansion. They didn't know that a pair of clear eyes had already seen the scene. Bailey Yi stood on the balcony like a statue. From this angle, he could see everything that was happening under the grape trellis. Hey, you annoying fellow, what are you doing on the balcony? Come and look at my puzzle. Xiao Bao was yelling angrily in the room. He was kind enough to bring the jigsaw puzzle along to play with him, but this annoying fellow ignored him. Bailey Yi's small fingers gripped the iron railing tightly. If someone was by his side, they would definitely see the anger in his eyes. Hey, I'm calling you. Xia Xiaobao swayed his little butt as he ran over. He nudged Zhang Zian's arm and said proudly, most people would take 3 days to complete that puzzle, but I only took half an hour. I'm amazing, right? As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Bao's body suddenly rushed out and fell to the ground with a bang. He glared at Bailey Yi angrily. Bailey Yi, how dare you push me? Why did you push me? Xiao Bao was furious. He was trying to make Zhang Zian happy, but Zhang Zian pushed him to the ground without any explanation. He really didn't know what was good for him. Xiao Bao got up from the ground angrily. He rolled up his sleeves and rushed up to Bailey Yi with puffed-up cheeks. He pushed Bailey Yi's small chest and shouted angrily, "Tell me, why did you push me?" Bailey Yi looked at him expressionlessly. His gaze was so cold that it didn't seem like a child's. Xiao Bao was stunned for a moment, but he quickly reacted. He grabbed Zhang Zian's collar, bared his little white teeth, and lowered his voice to avoid the butler waiting outside the door. Bailey Yi, I'm telling you, I don't care if you're pretending or not. Don't throw a tantrum with me. If it wasn't for my mommy, I wouldn't have bothered with you. Xiao Bao knew that his eyes weren't playing tricks on him. When Zhang Zian mentioned his mommy, he clearly saw Bailey Yi's gaze change. It became sharp and angry. The next second, Bailey Yi's hand also grabbed Xiao Bao's collar. The two brats wrestled with each other. Just as they were fighting fiercely, an angry voice came from the door. "What are you doing? Stop it right now." It was Bailey Han's voice. Bailey Yi instinctively let go of his hand, but Xiao Bao was still holding on to his clothes. Xia Dong scolded, "Xiao Bao, let go of him." Xiao Bao then let go of Gigai. The two children's clothes were messy, and they stood in the middle of the room with their faces covered in dirt. The two adults looked at them sternly. Bailey Han stared at his expressionless son. He was angry and helpless. Xia Dong glared at Xiao Bao, exasperated. "Xiao Bao, what's going on? I asked you to play with Xiao Yi, but you started fighting with him." Xiao Bao puffed up his cheeks angrily and glared fiercely at Xiao Yi. "Who told him to push me first? I was just defending myself." Xia Dong choked at his words and said angrily, "Defending yourself? That was revenge. Xiao Yi pushed you, so you had to push him back. Xiao Bao, have you forgotten what mommy told you?" He raised his chin indignantly. "I didn't forget. Mom, who's your son? Why are you siding with someone else's child?" Xia Dong's body froze, and the blood drained from her face. Her face turned pale, and she clenched her fists involuntarily. Bailey Han didn't know why Xiao Bao's words made Xia Dong react so strongly. A complicated look flashed across his eyes, and he said in a low voice, "Xiao Bao, don't be so rude to your mommy. Uncle, how I talk to my mommy is our family matter. Don't be a hypocrite and poke your nose into other people's business." Xiao Bao saw his mother's pale face and immediately regretted it. However, he was too prideful to admit his mistake in front of outsiders, so he turned his anger to Bailey Han. "Xiao Bao." Xia Dong called her son's name sternly. "Don't be rude to Uncle Bailey. Apologize now." "No, I didn't do anything wrong." There was no way he would apologize to his irresponsible father who abandoned him. Xiao Bao kicked the jigsaw angrily, grabbed the small backpack on the ground, and ran out like a wisp of smoke. Xia Dong looked at Bailey Han apologetically. "Mr. Bailey, I'm sorry. Xiao Bao's temper is too stubborn." She looked at Xiao Yi reluctantly. "I'll leave first." "Hurry and see if the young master is hurt anywhere." Bailey Han looked at Xia Dong's back as she chased after Xiao Bao. He raised his eyebrows and thought about her attitude. In front of him, her biological father, she didn't hide her concern for Xiao Yi. Was her motherly love too flowing? Xiao Yi was indifferent to all of this. He quietly tidied up the flower pots that had been kicked over during the fight. Bailey Han walked to his side and squatted down so that he was at eye level with him. He tried his best to soften his voice. "Xiao Yi, let Daddy see if you're hurt." He carefully checked his head and body. After confirming that he wasn't hurt, Bailey Han stroked his hair and said, "Xiao Yi, it's wrong to fight with others. Don't do it again, okay?" Bailey Yi looked down and didn't say anything. Bailey Han moved his lips helplessly. He held his son's thin shoulders and made him look at him. "Xiao Yi, Chief Editor Xia and Xiao Bao are here to help you. Don't be hostile to them." Xiao Yi still didn't respond. Even his eyes were dull. Bailey Han didn't dare to force him. He was worried that it would agitate him, so he took the puzzle pieces that Xia Xiao Bao brought over. He pulled his son to sit on the thick carpet and chuckled. "It's been a long time since I played with puzzles. Xiao Yi, play with Daddy, okay?" He took apart the castles that he had pieced together and messed them up. Then he held his son's little hand and led him to find every piece of the puzzle. Gradually, when Bailey Han let go of his hand, Xiao Yi took the initiative to help him find the puzzle pieces. He was ecstatic and praised him at appropriate times. Slowly, he let Xiao Yi solve the puzzle by himself. This time, he didn't get the expected result. The disappointment only lasted for a moment and was replaced by joy. Compared to when he had just returned from the hospital, Xiao Yi had improved a lot. Bailey Han believed that Xiao Yi would recover soon. In the BMW, Xia Dong drove seriously. She didn't even look at Xiao Bao, who was sitting in the front passenger seat. Xiao Bao carefully moved his face closer and said pitifully, "Mommy, don't be angry anymore." As soon as they got in the car, Xiao Bao tried to please Xia Dong, but she didn't look at him. Xia Dong snorted. "You still know that I'm your mommy?" "Of course I know." Finally, his mother paid attention to him. He quickly raised his chubby little hand. "Mommy, I know I was wrong. I won't do it again." Xia Dong raised her eyebrows. "Tell me, what did you do wrong?" He looked bitter. "I shouldn't have fought with my classmates. In the future, when my classmates hit me, I should be magnanimous and bear with it. My biggest mistake was talking back to you, Mommy. I was rude to my elders." Xia Dong's mouth twitched. Was he admitting his mistake, or was he trying to make her angry? "Mommy," Xia Dong's soft voice dragged on. His large eyes kept blinking and there was a fawning smile on his pink cheeks. Xia Dong's heart softened. She reached out and patted his head. She sighed. "Xiao Bao, Mommy knows that you're unhappy that you have to play with Xiao Yi. But Mommy really hopes that you can become friends. Even if you can't become friends, you should at least be friendlier to him, okay?" Her eyes were full of hope. He was unconvinced, but he couldn't bear to disappoint her. He nodded reluctantly and asked sourly, "Mommy, why are you so nice to him? He was Bailey Han's child with someone else." She smiled. "Xiao Bao, actually, Xiao Yi is very pitiful. He didn't have a mommy, friends, or siblings since he was young. Would you be willing to swap places with him?" He shook his head like a rattledrum. "No way. Although he didn't have Daddy's love, he had his mother and Uncle Shen who doted on him. He also had a super cute sister. Oh right, there was also his great-aunt and Auntie Yi. There were so many people who loved him. He didn't want to become Bailey Yi. So, are you willing to treat him better?" Xia Dong guided him patiently. He nodded. His beautiful eyes were as clear as spring water. She ruffled his hair. "Good boy. Awesome novel." Songshu 566. Chapter 134. The director of Glamour magazine found out from someone that Xia Dong did not go abroad, so he called her and asked her to return to her position as the chief editor. Xia Dong politely declined. She had to take care of Xiao Guai and attend the autistic therapist training. She did not have the energy to devote to her work. She walked the streets and searched for many delicacies, especially desserts. She specially bought different types of desserts for Xiao Bao to bring and share with Xiao Yi. As usual, the housekeeper led Xiao Bao upstairs while Xia Dong sat in the living room. The housekeeper helped Xiao Bao carry an exquisite food container and a bag of toys upstairs. After sending him to his room, the housekeeper closed the door and waited outside. When Xiao Bao entered, Xiao Yi was playing a jigsaw puzzle alone. Xiao Bao chuckled and ran to his side. "I'm not playing jigsaw puzzles today. I brought something new for you." He did not care if Xiao Yi ignored him and dragged the bag of toys over. In the Mickey Mouse patterned pocket, there was a small hemp dartboard. He took the dartboard out of the pocket and said, "Let me tell you, I'm a dartboard expert. Looking at you, you must have never played before. But don't worry, I'll teach you." Xiao Bao patted his chest proudly and ran around the room like a gust of wind. He quickly found a place to set the dartboard and stood on a stool. After setting the dartboard, he casually took out a dart and glanced at Xiao Yi, who was focused on the jigsaw puzzle. "Hey, watch carefully. I'm going to shoot the dartboard." After shouting for a long time, Xiao Yi still ignored him. "Wah, this annoying guy is not cooperating at all." Xiao Bao glared at him angrily and vented his anger on the dartboard. He mustered all his strength and threw the dart in his hand. Swoosh! It hit the bullseye. Xiao Yi looked up at lightning speed and then quickly looked down. Xiao Bao clapped happily. He had not practiced for a long time, but his skills had not deteriorated. He turned around proudly and wanted to show off. Unfortunately, the other party did not even look at him. He shot a few darts and hit the bullseye. Unfortunately, no one appreciated it. Little Treasure scooted over to Little Wingsy's side and sat down. He supported his forehead with one hand and sighed sadly. Why did he have to accompany this taciturn person during the summer vacation? He used his elbow to poke Xiao Yi, who was working hard. Bailey Yi, I'm curious. Are you pretending? If he was pretending, how could he endure it for so long? If he was in Xiao Bao's shoes, he would not be able to endure it. Bailey Yi, Little Treasure changed his position and lay on the ground looking at him. He propped up his chin with both hands and said with a gossipy expression, "Tell me quickly. Is it an act? By the way, your daddy cancelled the wedding. Is that annoying woman very sad and angry?" Unfortunately, I did not get to see her reaction. His pink lips chattered non-stop. Bailey Yi tightened his grip on the platter as if he was trying to restrain himself. Although it was a subtle movement, Xiao Bao still noticed it. Little Treasure suddenly grabbed his finger and laughed mischievously. Do you think I'm long-winded and irritating? Let me tell you, irritating is the right thing to do. As long as you ignore me, I'll kiss you endlessly and annoy you to death. Bailey Yi tried to break free from Xiao Bao's grip but failed. Xiao Bao smiled. He grabbed a dart with his other hand and stuffed it into Xiao Bao's hand. Here. As long as you can hit the dart plate here, I'll shut up and never bother you again. Xiao Bao was a handsome guy who was loved by everyone. He did not want to nag endlessly like a naggy old woman. He had put in so much effort to implement his mother's treatment plan. Bailey Yi's eyes moved as if he was hesitating. Xiao Bao waited quietly. He was not in a hurry. After nearly a minute, Bailey Yi reached out and took the dart. He stood up from the ground and stood up straight. He raised his right arm and threw the dart. Swoosh! The dart deviated from its original trajectory and shot out of the dart plate. Ha ha ha! Xiao Bao hugged his stomach and rolled around on the ground happily. So there were things that this annoying guy was not good at. Bailey Yi's face darkened. He pursed his lips and clenched his small fists. He looked like he wanted to pounce on the guy who laughed at him and beat him up. Xiao Bao rubbed his stomach that was hurting from laughing too much, then rubbed his cheeks that were stiff from laughing too much. Alright, don't look so glum. I'll teach you. Watch carefully, this is how it should be. He casually picked up a dart and did a standard demonstration. Bailey Yi turned his head away awkwardly and ignored him. Don't be so stingy. It's not like you'll lose anything if you get laughed at. Xiao Bao sighed and frowned. Kids are so troublesome. Bailey Yi's cheek twitched uncontrollably as the side of his face was facing him. In the end, Xiao Bao still could not coax Bailey Yi to learn darts with him. Xiao Bao scratched his head in frustration. He suddenly remembered something and his eyes lit up. He quickly ran to the table and took the food box from it. As soon as he opened the lid of the food box, the aroma of food wafted out. Layer by layer. Like peeling bamboo shoots, Xiao Bao took out the small boxes one by one and placed them on the floor. The fragrant pastries immediately attracted Bailey Yi's attention. Xiao Bao quickly handed him a pair of sanitary chopsticks. Don't be shy. Hurry up and eat. Bailey Yi did not take the chopsticks. Instead, he averted his gaze. Xiao Bao's bright black eyes rolled around. 2 little dimples appeared on his rosy cheeks. He picked up a pastry and took a bite happily. Wow, it's so delicious. It's fragrant and crispy. It's sweet and not greasy. It's so delicious. Bailey Yi swallowed his saliva quietly. Suddenly, his vision blurred. Xiao Bao was already in front of him. He picked up a pastry with his chopsticks and fed it to him. Hurry up and eat. It won't taste good when it's cold. Let me tell you, other than Xiao Guai, no one else has ever received such high treatment before. If you weren't my friend, I wouldn't have fed it to you. Friend? Bailey E was stunned. His mouth opened involuntarily. The pastry melted in his mouth. It had the fragrance of roses. It was sweet and soft. It was really delicious. He couldn't help but chew. Xiao Bao smiled brightly and handed him another piece of red date cake. Try this. It's delicious too. Bailey E did not refuse and reached out to take it. Xiao Bao beamed and said proudly, "It's delicious, isn't it? My mommy heard that you like sweets and specially went to many places to buy it." Before he could finish his sentence, Bailey E threw away the red date cake in his hand and ran to the trash can to spit out the food in his mouth. Finally, he angrily kicked the pastries on the ground and kicked them all over the floor. Are you crazy? My mommy spent a lot of effort to buy those. Xiao Bao ran over to stop him. However, he seemed to be even crazier. Not only did he kick the pastries, but he also screamed in agitation. Xiao Bao did not dare to go near him. The butler guarding the door heard the commotion and immediately pushed the door open. He said nervously, "Young master, don't be agitated. Take a deep breath." Xiao Bao stared blankly at Bailey E. Something flashed through his mind, but he couldn't grasp it. "Young Master Qi, you should come out first." The butler wiped the sweat from his forehead. Xiao Bao glanced at Bailey E and walked towards the door. After a few steps, he suddenly turned around. "Bailey E, do you hate my mommy?" He finally grasped that little bit of information. It seemed that every time he mentioned his mommy, Bailey E would have abnormal emotions. Bailey E's screams gradually stopped. Xiao Bao bit his lip and stared at him hatefully. "You really hate my mommy. Let me tell you, my mommy is different from that annoying woman. My mommy is really good to you. Young Master Qi, don't say any more. Let's go downstairs first." The butler was drenched in cold sweat. He was so worried that the young master would lose his temper again. Don't think of everyone as a bad person. My mommy doesn't want to marry your daddy." Xiao Bao huffed. He picked up his little backpack and ran downstairs. That bastard Bailey E. He must think that mom helped him to get close to Bailey Han. That's why he hates her. Bailey E looked at the food spilled everywhere without any expression on his face. Xia Dong held the hand of a fuming Xiao Bao as they walked out of Bailey's house. "Baby, why are you so unhappy?" Xiao Bao huffed. "It's all Bailey Yi's fault. He threw the food mom bought for you everywhere. He doesn't like you. He thinks you helped him to marry Bailey Han." Xia Dong tightened his grip on his hand. "Is this what little Wingsy said? He's willing to talk." "Of course not. I guessed it." It wasn't hard to guess his thoughts. No child would want someone else to be their daddy or mommy. Just like Xiao Bao himself, he didn't want another man to be his daddy. Of course, he didn't want Bailey Han to be his daddy either. So, in comparison, Uncle Shen was the most suitable. Xia Dong's mouth twitched. "I think you're overthinking it." The mother and son were walking to the parking lot when a high-class sports car suddenly drove over. Su Yunxian elegantly got out of the car. She smiled faintly. "Xia Dong, I didn't expect to see you here. Did Grandma allow you to enter Bailey's house?" Xia Dong ignored the sarcasm in her words and said calmly, "I'm sorry to disappoint you. Not only did I enter Bailey's house, but I also drank Bailey's tea. By the way, I'll continue to come here." Su Yunxian's exquisite smile froze. "Is that so? Even so, I don't think Grandma will let you see Xiao Yi. Even a rabbit would bite when cornered, let alone Xia Dong, who was stubborn to begin with." The guilt she felt for stealing Xia Dong's child had long disappeared after Xia Dong's repeated provocations. She sneered and said, "Miss Su, before you care about my affairs, why don't you care about your own affairs first? I heard that the reporters want to know why President Bailey canceled the wedding." Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 135. Xia Dong's counterattack had undoubtedly poked at Su Yunxian's sore spot. Her beautiful eyes stared fixedly at Xia Dong, filled with hatred. If it weren't for Xia Dong's existence, she would have long become the mistress of the Bailey family. Damn it, it's all that B***TCH's fault. She gritted her teeth and squeezed out a smile. Even if Han and I call off the wedding, don't even think about marrying him. Based on what you did back then, you have no right to stand by his side. Xia Dong smiled faintly. Miss Su, I suggest you see a psychiatrist. Your paranoia is really getting worse. Su Yunxian's expression turned ugly. She took a step forward and seemed to want to say something. Xiao Bao shrank his neck in horror and hid behind Xia Dong. Mommy, paranoia is really scary. Let's stay away from this auntie. Xia Dong stroked her son's hair seriously. That's right. Paranoia is really scary. Baby, remember to stay 10 meters away from this auntie when you see her in the future. No, you should stay as far away from her as possible. Yes, yes. Mommy, I'll remember. The mother and son got into the car as if there was no one else around. Su Yunxian was left alone on the spot, gritting her teeth in hatred. Xia Dong was about to start the car when she saw her son take something out of his small bag. He rolled down the car window and aimed at Su Yunxian's car tires and shot it. As his actions were extremely fast and there was no sound during the shooting process, Su Yunxian, who had already turned and walked towards the old Bailey mansion, naturally didn't see it. However, Xia Dong saw it clearly. She raised her eyebrows. Baby, what are you doing? Xiao Bao waved the thing in her right hand and smiled like a little fox. My secret weapon, pear-flower storm needles. Once I see blood, I'll destroy that damn auntie's tires. The corner of Xia Dong's mouth twitched. Brother Shen must have given him another inexplicable hidden weapon. She rubbed his head and said, well done, worthy of praise. However, this thing is very dangerous. You have to be careful when using it. Worried that he wouldn't know what to do, she thought for a moment and said, when you use it, you have to be clear about the situation. For example, if you have a conflict with a child, you can't use it against them. If you're facing a kidnapper or a bad guy, you have to use this weapon without hesitation. Do you understand? I know. Don't confuse me with a 3-year-old child. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes impatiently. He already said that he was a genius. How could a genius not understand these things? Hey, little old man, you're only 4 years old. Xia Dong flicked his forehead in annoyance. Alright, buckle up. Mommy is going to drive. Su Yunxian was very annoyed by Xia Dong and her son, but when she saw the housekeeper, she still smiled appropriately. Housekeeper, I'm here to see Grandma and Xiao Yi. Is Grandma in? The housekeeper said politely, Miss Su, old madam heard that you're coming and is waiting for you in the study. Okay, thank you. Su Yunxian went straight to the study on the 3rd floor. When she walked into the study, old madam was chatting with old master. The two elders were sitting on a rattan chair and chatting happily. The atmosphere was harmonious. Grandma, Grandpa. Su Yunxian greeted them politely. Yunxian, you're here. Come and sit here. Old madam pointed to the seat beside her and pressed the bell. Soon, a servant came in and served them tea. After chatting for a while, old madam suddenly said, Yunxian, did something happen between you and Ahan? I think he's been a little strange recently. Old madam's words were too tactful. Bailey Han was not only strange, but he completely ignored Su Yunxian as if she was a stranger. Su Yunxian forced a smile, and her eyes revealed a touch of sadness. I think Han is too tired. And something like this happened to Xiao Yi. Sigh, Ahan's temper has been like this since he was young. He likes to hide everything in his heart. Old madam took her hand and patted it gently. Yunxian, you have to understand him. Don't worry. When Xiao Yi recovers, I'll immediately hold your wedding. It'll definitely be a grand affair. Su Yunxian's eyes reddened with gratitude. Grandma, thank you, old madam rebuked, let's not be so formal. Tell your parents what I said just now so that they can feel at ease. I know, Grandma. Before I came, my mommy told me to visit you more often. If you need anything, just let me know. Don't be shy, old madam was very emotional. Your parents are reasonable. Help me thank them. The two chatted for a while. Su Yunxian proposed to visit Xiao Yi. Old madam was very comforted. She went downstairs with her and walked into Bailey Yi's room. The room had been cleaned and tidied up. Bailey Yi leaned against the cushion, holding a small laptop and surfing the internet. Baby, look. Auntie Yunxian is here to see you. Although he did not respond every time she spoke to him, the old lady did not give up. Xiao Yi, what are you busy with? Su Yunxian bent down and stroked Bailey Yi's hair intimately. Xiao Yi. Su Yunxian anxiously walked forward, wanting to comfort her. Old madam suddenly said sternly, Yunxian, don't go over there. Grandma? Su Yunxian looked aggrieved. The old madam paused and softened her tone. If we go over now, it'll only make him lose control of his emotions. The best thing to do now is to ignore him and let him calm down. This was the method that Lin Yi, the psychotherapist, had taught her. I see. I understand. Su Yunxian bit her lips and seemed to have made a very important decision. Grandma, I don't know why, but Xiao Yi gets agitated every time he sees me. In order not to agitate him, it's better for me to visit him less in the future. Old madam also thought about this problem, but she was too embarrassed to bring it up. She did not expect Yunxian to bring it up herself. She immediately let out a sigh of relief. That's good too. Yunxian, it's been hard on you. Su Yunxian smiled. Of course not. We are all doing this for Xiao Yi's good. Grandma, I'll leave first. I still have something to do. I'll come to see you in 2 days. After saying goodbye to old madam, Su Yunxian walked out of the old house. She was already depressed to begin with. Why was Bailey Yi so agitated every time he saw her? Was he pretending to be sick? Or was he really sick, but subconsciously remembered what she had done to him? Su Yunxian drove for more than 10 meters and realized that something was wrong. She got out of the car to check and found 2 very thin needles stuck in her tires. She was so angry that she stomped her 10-centimeter high heels. Fortunately, she did not drive too far. When she returned to the old house, she asked the servant to change her tires. After she started the car again, she thought for a while and felt that it was Xia Dong's doing. After all, that was Bailey's territory. Outsiders could not enter. The servant knew her and it was impossible for them to puncture her tires. Only Xia Dong had the motive to do this. Xia Dong, how dare you do such a childish thing? If Su Yunxian was not driving, she would have stomped on the ground to vent her anger. No, she could not be in a passive position anymore. She had to find a way to turn the situation around. It had been a month and a half since Su Xingqian was injured. Today was the day she removed the gauze on her face. Su Murong and Xia Jinqing were both in the hospital with her. The doctor carefully removed the gauze from her face. Su Murong saw her daughter's face clearly and her face turned pale. She almost fainted. Xia Jinqing was not any better. He trembled as he held his wife's arm. After removing the gauze, Su Xingqian could not wait to see her injury. Give me a mirror, quickly give me a mirror. Her vocal cords had almost recovered, but her voice was still a little hoarse. Su Murong snatched the mirror. Xingqian, promise mommy first. Don't get agitated. Okay, mommy, I promise you. Quickly give me the mirror. After Su Xingqian took the mirror, she became timid. She had already guessed the result from her parents' worried and heartbroken eyes. But in her heart, she still had a faint hope that a miracle would happen. She closed her eyes and took 2 deep breaths. She slowly opened her eyes. With just one look, she screamed in horror and threw away the mirror in her hand. She shrank into the corner of the bed in fear. That's not me, that's not me. Mommy, Daddy, quickly tell me that the scary person in the mirror is not me. It's not me. Su Xingchen hugged her head and cried in the wind. No, the face she saw was not hers. It definitely was not her. Her skin was clearly smooth and delicate, but the face in the mirror was dry like a withered tree bark. That face was bald, without eyebrows. It was covered with red and swollen scars and ravines. It was like a malicious spirit that crawled out from hell. That was not her, not her. Xingchen, don't get agitated. Listen to me. The doctor said that your face can be fixed by plastic surgery. It can be cured. Su Murong endured the sadness in her heart and hugged her wailing daughter. She kept comforting her. Xingchen, be good. Don't cry. Your tears will stain the wounds. Be careful of infection. You're lying to me, you're lying to me. It can't be cured at all. Su Xingchen struggled crazily and cried. My eyebrows, my nose, and my cheeks, it can't be cured. Some of the wounds on her face were so deep that the bones could be seen. How could it be cured? Even plastic surgery could not restore her original appearance. It will be cured, it will be cured. Believe in Mommy. Mommy will invite the world's best plastic surgeon. They will definitely restore you to your original appearance. Su Murong could barely suppress Su Xingchen. Xia Zhenchen quickly went forward to help her hold Su Xingchen's arm. Xingchen, listen to Mommy. Don't get agitated. Be careful of the wounds. Powerful novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 136. Su Murong could barely hold Su Xingchen down. Xia Zhenchen hurriedly stepped forward and grabbed Su Xingchen's arm. Xingchen, listen to Mommy. Don't be agitated. Be careful of your wounds, let go of me. Su Xingchen was completely defeated by that nightmarish face. She lost all reason and kept crying. I want my face, I want my face. Xia Dong, Su Yunxian, you 2 bitches, give me back my face. Su Yunxian just happened to walk in at this time. Su Murong was the first to see her. She smiled apologetically. Yunxian, you're here. Xingchen was agitated and her mind is a little muddled. Don't take it to heart. Su Yunxian put down the fruit basket in her hand. Aunt, I know. I won't be angry. Su Yunxian, I don't want your fake kindness. Get out now. Su Xingchen's hands were held by Xia Zhenchen and couldn't move. He kicked at Su Yunxian with his legs. Unfortunately, the distance was too far and he couldn't kick her. Xingchen, that's enough. Su Murong couldn't take it anymore and scolded Su Xingchen harshly. Look at yourself. Yunxian is magnanimous and didn't take it to heart that you hurt her. Not only do you not feel guilty at all, you even speak ill of her. Is this what I've been teaching you? Su Xingchen let out a wah sound as he began to cry. Su Yunxian comforted her gently. Aunt, don't be angry. I don't think Xingchen did it on purpose. She's just in a bad mood. Su Murong looked guilty. Xingchen was the one in the wrong and you're comforting me. Yunxian, you're such a sensible girl. Su Yunxian smiled. Aunt, Uncle, Xingchen doesn't want to see me. I'll leave first. I'll come see her when she's in a better mood. Yunxian, thank you for coming to visit Xingchen. Be careful on the way. Xia Zhenchen held on to Su Murong's hand and couldn't let go. Su Murong personally walked her to the door. After Su Yunxian left, Su Xingchen's emotions were still agitated. She kept crying and throwing tantrums. The couple tried to console her for a long time but to no avail. In the end, they could only call for the doctor to inject her with a sedative. After the injection, she fell into a deep sleep. Su Murong sat by the bed, exhausted. Looking at her miserable face, her eyes couldn't help but redden. Xia Zhenxing put his arm around her shoulder. "Wife, don't be sad. Let's think of a way to cure our daughter's face." Su Murong pushed his arm away. "Xia Zhenxing, how can you be so heartless? The one lying on the bed right now is our only daughter. Why aren't you sad at all?" Xia Zhenxing said helplessly, "Of course I'm sad, but it's useless to be sad. It's better to think of a way to cure Xingqian's face as soon as possible." Su Murong looked at him coldly and said sarcastically, "I think you're just trying to distract me because you're afraid that I'll blame you and your ex-wife's daughter." Xia Zhenxing frowned. This wasn't Xia Dong's fault in the first place. If Xingqian hadn't tried to harm Yunxian and Xia with acid, she wouldn't have ended up in this state. So you're saying that Xingqian asked for it and reaped what she sowed?" Su Murong raised her eyebrows and glared at Xia Zhenxing. "In your eyes, is Xia Dong the only daughter you have? Let me tell you, Xia Zhenxing, Xingqian ended up in this state because of Xia Dong. She wouldn't let this go so easily." Xia Zhenxing saw a flash of viciousness in her eyes and hurriedly explained, "Honey, what are you talking about? Ever since we got married, I only have you and Xingqian in my heart. I'm also very sad that Xingqian got hurt. Let's not talk about other things for now. Saving our daughter is more important." He knew that the more he explained, the more Su Murong would hate Xia. Su Murong slowly let out a sigh of relief and calmed down a lot. "All right, I'll believe you for now. Xia Zhenxing, don't do anything behind my back. Otherwise, if I find out, I won't let you off." Su Xingqian's face had third-degree burns. Because the acid had flowed down from her forehead to the bridge of her nose, her forehead, nose, and chin had the deepest injuries. Even the bridge of her nose was faintly visible and her lips were deformed. Even plastic surgery could only make her face look more normal. Su Murong knew this very well. However, like all mothers, she loved her daughter deeply and hoped for a miracle to happen. She used her connections to ask around for the best plastic surgery hospitals and doctors. Unknowingly, Su Murong woke up on the hospital bed. When she saw her mother by her bedside, she was disheartened and tears welled up in her eyes. Su Murong hurriedly used a cotton swab to carefully dry her tears and comforted her gently. "Xingqian, don't cry. Otherwise, your tears will stain the wound and it'll be easy to get infected." Su Xingqian's voice was hoarse and her eyes were filled with grief. "Mommy, I know that even with plastic surgery, my face won't recover. If I have to face this face, I'd rather die." Su Murong gritted her teeth and scolded, "Su Xingqian, you're not my daughter. I, Su Murong, will never have a daughter as weak as you. Since you're not even afraid of death, why are you afraid of living?" Tears welled up in Su Xingqian's eyes again. What's there to be afraid of in death? Living means facing so many strange gazes and going to jail. It's much more painful than death. Su Murong expected better from Su Xingqian. "Have you forgotten how I taught you? If others respect me, I'll respect them 10 times. If others hurt me, I'll hurt them 10 times. Right now, you're suffering here, but the person who hurt you is free and unfettered. Are you willing to accept this?" Her words indeed stirred up Su Xingqian's motivation to live. Her lifeless eyes slowly regained their luster. Her terrifying face was even scarier because of her hatred. She looked like a demon that had climbed up from hell. With a low and hoarse voice, she said, "No, I'm not willing." Su Murong stroked her hair and her voice was terrifyingly calm. "Since you're not willing, then live well. As long as you're alive, there's hope. Whatever you want, you can still fight for it. If you die, then there's really nothing left." Right, how could she let Su Yunxian and Xia Dong wish for Gigai to die? She had to live on resolutely. Only then would there be a day when she could beat them. Su Yunxian walked out of Su Xingqian's ward. She wasn't in a hurry to leave the hospital. Instead, she went to the door of the gynecology department. Sitting on a bench in the corridor, she quietly observed. Su Yunxian saw many pregnant women accompanied by their husbands. The husbands carefully supported their wives while the wives had sweet smiles on their faces. There were also a few girls who came alone sitting in the waiting area. Their young faces were filled with uneasiness. It was easy to guess their purpose for coming here. A young girl walked out of the gynecology department. Her face was pale as she sat beside Su Yunxian in a daze. She was still holding a checkup report in her hand. Su Yunxian looked up slightly. When she saw the word 7 weeks pregnant written on the report, the corner of her lips curled up imperceptibly. She said softly, "Little girl, let's make a deal." The girl looked up in astonishment. Her clear eyes were filled with confusion. "What deal?" Su Yunxian smiled. "You don't want the child in your stomach, right? I'll help you get rid of it. I promise that no one will know. The price you'll pay is just the checkup report in your hand." The girl was stunned for a while before she reacted. She muttered, "What do you want the checkup report for?" Su Yunxian said lightly, "That's my problem. You just have to tell me, are you willing or not?" The girl bit her lip. "Are you sure you won't let anyone know?" "I'm sure. I don't have money. I'll pay for the surgery. I'll also give you 10,000 yuan for nutrition. I only have one condition." Su Yunxian stared into her eyes. "You have to swear on your life that you won't reveal this matter." "I promise I won't tell anyone." The girl raised her palm and swore seriously. In her eyes, it was this beautiful woman who had saved her. She had already regarded her as her benefactor. Su Yunxian smiled. "Very good. Give me your phone number. I'll arrange the surgery for you as soon as possible. If you don't believe me, you can give me the checkup report after the surgery." "Thank you." The girl told her phone number and thanked her solemnly. Shenghao Group. The president had been in a bad mood recently. It was a well-known fact among the employees of Shenghao Group. Even when they passed by the door of the president's office, they would deliberately walk lightly, afraid that they would accidentally disturb the black-faced god inside. After the meeting, Bailey Han strode back to his office. He looked at the clock. It was 4:00 in the afternoon. It was time for Xia Dong to take Xiao Bao to visit Xiao Yi again. He leaned back in his chair. He couldn't help but think of the day when he came back early and saw her bathing Daodu under the grape trellis. She gently rubbed Daodu's hair and chatted with the maid with a smile. Her eyes were burning with a long-lost passion. He couldn't help but stop and stand in the distance, watching her laugh. Suddenly, a melodious ringing of the phone interrupted his reverie. He saw the caller ID and felt a little complicated. He hesitated for a few seconds and pressed the answer button. "Han," Su Yunxian's gentle voice came from the phone. "We haven't had dinner together in a long time. Let's have dinner together tonight, okay?" Bailey Han paused and said, "I have to work overtime today." Her voice was still gentle. "Then I'll cook something delicious and send it to you." "No, I'll order takeout." "Han," her voice sounded very aggrieved. "I just want to have dinner with you. Is it making things difficult for you?" He rubbed his eyebrows. "Yunxian, before Xiao Yi recovers, I hope we can maintain the status quo. In the end, you still suspect me. You think I'm the one who hurt Xiao Yi." She sobbed softly. He frowned even more. "I just want both of us to calm down. I won't make any guesses before the matter is investigated clearly." Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 137. His frown deepened. "I just want both of us to calm down. I won't make any guesses before I get to the bottom of the matter." She saw through his lies. "You've already sentenced me, yet you refuse to see me. You don't take the initiative to contact me. You don't care about me. This is all because you've already determined that I'm the one who harmed little Wingsy. Han, don't you think this is too unfair to me? You've only heard one sentence from Xiao Yi, yet you've already determined that I'm guilty. Have you ever thought that there might be a misunderstanding? Bailey Han rationally felt that Su Yunxian was suspicious, but emotionally, he hoped that she was innocent. He was conflicted, so he chose to distance himself from her to deal with this matter calmly. No matter what she said, he coldly rejected her request. After ending the call, Su Yunxian angrily threw her coffee cup on the floor. After her anger subsided, she began to plan her next move. No matter what, she had to see Bailey Han. Ever since she decided to go to Italy, Xia Dong fired the nanny. Now, she was idle at home and did not hire a nanny. She cleaned the house herself and took care of the children. After breakfast in the morning, she cleaned the house and dragged the two lazy bums to the garden for a walk. After resting for a while, she taught Xiao Guai how to read and write. Then, she brought the two of them to her aunt's house and asked her to take care of them. She went out shopping for food and prepared afternoon tea and snacks for Xiao Bao and Xiao Yi's daily meeting at 4 o'clock. After returning from Bailey's house and having dinner, she rushed to the autism rehabilitation class. Her schedule was very tight every day. In order to take care of the children, she almost gave up all entertainment and social activities. Even if Mika Keto wanted to see her, she could only see her after 9 o'clock in the evening. Mika Keto felt that she was working too hard and wanted to hire a nanny for her, but she refused. Her reason was that she did not have a job and would feel uncomfortable if she was idle. Today, Xia Dong had to go shopping again. Xiao Bao volunteered to go with her. Xiao Guai was naturally unwilling to be left behind. Mommy, I want to go too. I can help you pick out desserts for Brother Yi. Xia Dong pinched her delicate nose in amusement. What do you know how to pick? There are a lot of people on the streets, and it's very hot. It's not fun at all. Xiao Guai, don't go, okay? No, her daughter shook her arm and looked at her pitifully with watery eyes. Mommy, I haven't played outside in a long time. Let me go, but the weather is very hot now. Mommy is afraid that you will get sunburned. The sun in late July was very scorching. Mommy, wait for me. She ran into her room like a wisp of smoke. After fiddling around for a while, she ran out with a pink hat and said with a grin, Mommy, look. It's not hot anymore after I put on the hat, Gigai, be good. There are a lot of people on the streets, so it's better if you don't go. Come to Grandaunt's house to play, okay? Xiao Guai blinked her big watery eyes. Mommy, if you don't want me to go out to play, then take me to Brother Yi's house, okay? Xia Dong was in a difficult position. Xiao Bao puffed out her small chest. Mom, let Gigai come with me to Bailey's house. I will take good care of her. I will definitely not let Bailey Yi bully her. Also, didn't you want us to be friends with Bailey Yi? With Xiao Guai, Bailey Yi will have another friend. The little guy was calculating in his heart. It was very boring to be alone with Bailey Yi. With Xiao Guai, it would definitely be more interesting. Xiao Guai threw herself onto Xia Dong's leg and rubbed against it. That's right, Mommy. I also want to be friends with Brother Yi. Xia Dong looked at the two little guys' expectant eyes and nodded in agreement. The housekeeper's mental fortitude was quite good. She was not surprised by the sudden appearance of another little bun. She calmly led them upstairs. After more than 10 days of interaction, Xia Dong was already able to chat with the servant who made her tea. She was no longer restrained in the living room. Instead, she walked around the garden and helped Xiao Lu bathe Lil P. She especially loved the stone bench under the grape trellis because from there, she could see Bailey Yi's room on the second floor. If she was lucky, she could even see him standing on the balcony. Even if she couldn't get close to him, she was satisfied to see him from afar. She sat under the grape trellis again. On the surface, she appeared to be enjoying the cool air, but in reality, she was secretly observing Bailey Yi's room. Unfortunately, Xiao Yi wasn't on the balcony today. The large floor-to-ceiling window had its curtains drawn, so she couldn't see the situation inside. At this moment, Bailey E was playing Go with himself. From time to time, he would turn his head to look at the clock on the table. When he saw the hour hand pointing to 4, a strange light flashed across his eyes. There was a knock on the door. He lowered his head and looked seriously at the chessboard. Young Master Chi and Miss Xia are here to visit you today." After the housekeeper said this, she left the room. Bailey E didn't look up. "Brother E, do you still remember me? I'm Gi Gai." Xiao Guai let go of Xiao Bao's hand and carefully walked to Bailey Yi's side. Bailey E still didn't look up. Xiao Bao said sourly, "Gi Gai, you promised me that you wouldn't call him brother. You've forgotten again." "Ah, I'm sorry." Xiao Guai stuck out her tongue cutely. She always seemed to forget things. She propped up her little head with her meaty arms and leaned against Bailey Yi's table. She asked curiously, "Bailey E, don't you find it boring to play with yourself?" Bailey Yi's hand that was holding a Go piece paused. Xiao Bao sharply caught it. Her lips curled into a mischievous smile, and she deliberately said loudly, "He won't be bored. Anyway, he's bored every day and doesn't play with anyone else. He can only play with himself." "But that's so pitiful." Xiao Guai reached out her little hand and gently stroked Bailey Yi's hair as if she was petting her own pet. "Bailey E, from today onwards, brother and I are your friends. Don't play by yourself. Play with us." Bailey E acted as if he didn't hear her. He lowered his eyes and continued with his actions, placing a Go piece on a certain spot. "Oh right, Bailey E, are you hungry? My mommy bought a lot of delicious pastries for you." Xiao Guai grabbed his hand and dragged him to the coffee table. "Come with me. I'll get them for you. They're delicious." Bailey E was like a puppet, allowing her to drag him to the sofa beside the coffee table. Xiao Bao helped Xiao Guai open the lunch box and took out small boxes of exquisite and delicious pastries. "This is vanilla, this is purple potato, and this is red bean paste. Brother likes red bean paste. Here you go. Bailey E, which flavor do you like? I'll get it for you." Xiao Guai happily helped everyone distribute the pastries. Bailey E reached out his finger and slowly pointed at the little rabbit-shaped pastry in front of Xiao Guai. Xiao Guai's cute little face fell. "Ah, you like this rabbit? But I like it too. Forget it, I'll let you have it." It was rare for Brother E to take the initiative to express his opinion, so she might as well let him have it. So Bailey E calmly put the little rabbit into his mouth. Xiao Bao wasn't sure if he was imagining it, but he felt that Bailey Yi's attitude towards his mother had changed. He no longer rejected the food she brought and even ate with a clear conscience. Like now, for example, he purposely stole Gi Gai's favorite rabbit. Xiao Bao, who had a huge sister complex, was very unhappy. He glared at him, and used his eyes to condemn him. Bailey E ignored his anger and calmly picked a puppy-shaped pastry and put it on Xiao Guai's plate. "Is this for me? It's so cute." Xiao Guai beamed. Brother E wasn't as autistic as her brother said. He even took the initiative to give it to her. Xiao Bao was even more unhappy. He had been with him for more than 10 days. He didn't even look at him, let alone take the initiative to give him something. What a perverted guy, Xiao Bao cursed in his heart. Suddenly, a hand appeared in front of him. A black guy that looked like a panda landed on his plate. "Humph, at least you have some conscience." Xiao Bao didn't hold back. He picked up the panda pastry and took a bite. The next second, he spat it into the trash can. "Damn it, of all things, you chose the peanut butter one." He hated peanut butter the most, "You bastard." A smile quickly flashed across Bailey Yi's eyes. After spitting it out, Xiao Bao still felt a strange taste in his mouth, so he ran to the bathroom to rinse his mouth. The bathroom was next to the door, and the door wasn't locked. It was just ajar, so when Xiao Bao came out of the bathroom, he happened to hear someone talking to the housekeeper outside the door. Housekeeper, Mrs. Su called just now. She said that Miss Su is sick and wants the eldest young master to visit her. The housekeeper lowered his voice. Then go and report this to the old madam. Xiao Bao swayed his little butt and sat back in his seat. He poked Bailey E with his elbow. Let me tell you. I just heard from the servant that Su Yunxian is sick and wants your daddy to visit her. He snorted and continued, I'm guessing that your daddy definitely doesn't want to visit her. That's why she called here and used your great-grandmother to force your daddy. After saying that, he stared at Bai Li with a serious expression. If you're faking it, then this move of yours is quite successful. However, that hateful woman won't let you off so easily. She'll definitely have something else up her sleeve. You have to be careful. Bailey Yi's lips curled up, but he quickly returned to his expressionless face. It was so fast that Xiao Bao thought that he was seeing things. Xiao Bao's guess was right. The Su family called Bailey Han and said that Su Yunxian was sick and wanted him to visit her. However, Bailey Han politely refused. Mrs. Su then called the Su mansion, and the old madam immediately ordered Bailey Han to visit Su Yunxian at the Su mansion. Bailey Han was forced by the old madam to the point that he had no choice but to visit her after work. She was lying on the bed with a pale face. She seemed to be very sick. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 138. Bailey Han glanced at the bowl of porridge beside the bed. The porridge inside had not been touched at all. He frowned slightly. How can you not eat? What do you want to eat? I'll get someone to make it for you. Su Yunxian leaned against the headboard with a pillow behind her back. She shook her head delicately. No, I don't have an appetite. Mrs. Su came in with Bailey Han. After hearing her daughter's words, she immediately became anxious. How can you do that? Yunxian, you haven't eaten anything for a whole day. Mommy, I really don't have an appetite. Su Yunxian forced a smile and comforted her. Mommy, I'm fine. You've taken care of me for a whole day. Have a good rest. Okay, then I won't disturb you. If there's anything, just get the servants to call me. Mrs. Su reminded her repeatedly. If there's anything you want to eat, just get the servants to make it for you. Don't starve. Su Yunxian smiled helplessly. Mommy, I know. Go and rest. Only she and Bailey Han were left in the room. She shifted her body and Bailey Han leaned over to help her sit up. You were fine yesterday. How did you get sick? Where do you feel uncomfortable? Have you seen a doctor? I'm fine. I'm just a little dizzy. The smell of oil makes me feel a little nauseous. Maybe my stomach isn't too good. She gently held his hand, lowered her eyes, and said softly, Han, are you only willing to come and see me when I'm sick? Then I'd rather be sick every day. Bailey Han's body stiffened. He said lightly, don't be silly. I'll accompany you to the hospital tomorrow and have a good checkup. There was a smile in her eyes. Although her face was pale, she was still stunningly beautiful. No need. I know my own body. There won't be any big problems. I'll be fine after a day of rest. You're so busy. How can I let you waste your time with me? He frowned. I'll only be relieved if you have a checkup. I'll pick you up tomorrow. She tilted her body and leaned on his shoulder naturally. I feel much better now that you're willing to come and see me. If you're still worried, you can send me to the hospital and then go to the company. Well, it's decided then. He didn't push her away and let her lean on his shoulder. Han, I'm a little sleepy. Can you sing for me? Her hand naturally rested on his chest as she leaned into his ear and whispered softly. When she spoke, her hot breath sprayed onto his ear. When she said the last word, her lips even brushed against his earlobe. His body suddenly tensed up. Almost instinctively, he pushed her away and stood up abruptly. Rest early. I'm leaving. He did not wait for her reply and quickly left. Su Yunxian looked at his tightly shut door. The frailness on her face had long faded away, and her fingers clutched the bedsheets tightly. It was already past 9:00 at night when Xia Dong walked out of the Autism Rehabilitation Training Center. She saw Lu Xing and Bailey Yun facing each other, so she quickly squeezed between them to separate them. "Fox, what are you doing here?" Bailey Yun put one hand in his trouser pocket and narrowed his fox-like eyes. He glanced at the expressionless Lu Xing and smirked. "Didn't you say you were busy during the day? I had no choice but to look for you at night. Why didn't your fiancé come to pick you up?" Xia Dong knew that he was upset because Lu Xing had stopped him. She smiled. "Brother Shen has a social engagement tonight. Don't be angry. I'll treat you to supper." She waved her hand and motioned for Lu Xing to take 2 steps back and not follow him so closely. Bailey Yun saw her little gesture and felt much better. He snorted at Lu Xing proudly and said lazily, "Well, since you're so sincere, I'll do you the honor of having supper with you. However, I'll have to choose the location." "No problem, I'll listen to you. However, I only have an hour and a half, so I can't choose a place that's too far away." There was no housekeeper at home now, so she did not feel safe leaving the 2 children alone at home. "Don't worry, it's very close. I'll drive. You can rest first." Bailey Yun snatched the car keys from her hand and drove the car over. Xia Dong sat in the passenger's seat, while Lu Xing squatted in the back seat, as if she did not exist. Bailey Yun took her to a private restaurant. The environment was elegant and quiet. He had already reserved a private room and led her in with familiarity. The 2 of them ordered and Xia Dong asked, "Fox, why are you looking for me?" Bailey Yun blinked his fox-like eyes. "I want to introduce you to a friend." "Who is it?" He looked at his watch. "Wait for another 10 minutes. He'll be here soon." Before their dishes were served, the friend that Bailey Yun was talking about arrived. Although he was not as handsome as Bailey Yun, he had a gentle and elegant temperament, giving people a sense of trust at first sight. He smiled gently. "Miss Xia, nice to meet you. My name is Lin Yi, I'm Yun's friend." Xia Dong smiled and reached out her hand. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Lin. I'm Fox's friend too." "Fox?" Lin Yi looked at Bailey Yun with a smile. "Yun, this nickname suits you very well." As cunning as a fox, Bailey Yun brushed the hair in front of his forehead and chuckled. "I'll take it as a compliment." Xia, don't be fooled by this guy's appearance. He's the blackest on the inside. Also, his personality is a little, twisted." Xia Dong, Lin Yi smiled. "Miss Xia, don't be scared by him. It's because I study psychology that this guy thinks I have a psychological problem. Of course, this is just his wishful thinking." Xia Dong looked at Bailey Yun meaningfully. "Mr. Lin, I can only say that I sympathize with you." With Bailey Yun's glib tongue, how could a gentle person like Lin Yi win against him? Lin Yi smiled, his voice as gentle as jade. Bailey Yun smiled. Xia, that's where you're wrong. I'm the one who deserves your sympathy. You don't know that when we were in America, this guy liked to use me as a test subject every time he learned something new. For example, hypnotism," Lin Yi countered calmly. "Why don't you say that I treated you like a patient and persuaded you for hours just to pull you back to the right path?" Xia Dong was curious. "Mr. Lin, did Fox do something that led him astray?" Lin Yi cleared his throat. Bailey Yun jumped up from his chair and covered his mouth impatiently. "Don't say it." Lin Yi blinked and signaled for him to let go. He threatened again, "Don't say it, or I'll kill you." "All right, let's change the topic so that there won't be a murder." Xia Dong held back her laughter and helped Lin Yi out of the situation. Bailey Yun winked at Lin Yi after the crisis was resolved. The meaning was obvious, "Don't say anything, or I'll kill you." Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and replied with a look, "That depends on my mood." Bailey Yun's face darkened and was about to explode when Xia Dong, who had been watching them flirt with each other, quickly said, "I'm sorry to interrupt your flirting. I want to know, have you known each other for a long time?" "Pfft. Who's flirting with that guy?" Bailey Yun distanced himself from Lin Yi in disgust. Lin Yi raised his eyebrows in amusement. "Don't call me that. I'm your senior." He looked at Xia Dong and explained, "When I was in America, I went to the same university as Yun. In fact, we haven't seen each other for more than 5 years. If I didn't meet Yun at Bailey's house, I wouldn't have known that he was in a city." Bai Lian seemed to have recalled something and smiled until his eyes narrowed into slits. "Xia, do you still remember the first time we met? You threw yourself into my arms. That day was the first day I returned to the country." "Hey, I want to correct you. That was not throwing myself into your arms. I was just avoiding someone's pursuit." Xia Dong was speechless. At that time, Bailey Han was chasing her with bodyguards. She had no choice but to ask for his help. Bailey Yun crossed his arms and leaned against the chair leisurely. He shrugged nonchalantly. "It's okay. I know you're shy." Xia Dong was speechless. "Thank you for your understanding." Bailey Yun raised his eyebrows. Xia, Lin Yi is now a psychotherapist. Aren't you curious about who his latest patient is?" Xia Dong's brain spun quickly and she was shocked. "Mr. Lin, are you treating Bailey Yi? He mentioned that he went to Bailey's house." Lin Yi smiled, his eyes gentle and wise. "Yes. I heard from Yun that you've taken part in an autistic rehabilitation course, and you've learned quite a bit about it. It just so happens that my assistant took a wedding leave yesterday. If you're willing to replace her and work for me for half a month, I'd be very grateful." Xia Dong stared at him in disbelief for a few seconds. She suddenly looked at Bailey Yun. His charming eyes were smiling and he nodded at her gently. She immediately felt a surge of warmth in her heart. She pursed her lips and turned back to Lin Yi with a bright smile. "Mr. Lin, thank you. You don't have to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank that kid Yun. He said a lot of good things to me," Lin Yi said humorously. "I think he said all the good things he's going to say to me in advance." Xia Dong knew that Bailey Yun must have put in a lot of effort to make her a temporary assistant. On the way home, she thanked him sincerely. "Fox, thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have the chance to meet Xiao Yi." Bai Lian's lips curved up. "Don't listen to Lin Yi's nonsense. His assistant is on leave, and you have the knowledge in this area. If I introduce you to him, he'll be more than happy." Xia Dong knew that he said this because he didn't want her to feel burdened. She was even more grateful. He reminded her. Xia, from tomorrow onwards, you'll be Lin Yi's assistant. I'm worried that Grandma and the others will recognize you and misunderstand you. It's best if you disguise yourself." "Yes, I've thought about that. I'll be careful." She had thought about how to disguise herself when they were eating. She had to make it so that no one could recognize her. She couldn't bring trouble to Lin Yi. Attention, Hongcha 866. Chapter 139. Early the next morning, Bailey Han drove to the Su family home. After sending Su Yunxian to the hospital, he gave her a few more instructions before leaving. After he left, Su Yunxian dialed an unknown number. "Xiaoxi, I've already arranged for the surgery. Come to the first hospital now," said Xiaoxi, who was the young woman whom she had bumped into outside the gynecology and obstetrics department the other day. Half an hour later, Xiaoxi appeared in front of Su Yunxian, wearing a cap and a surgical mask. Su Yunxian almost couldn't recognize her if she hadn't taken the initiative to greet her. "Don't be afraid, no one will find out who you are. Let's go over now." Su Yunxian led Xiaoxi out of the hospital and hailed a taxi. After driving for a while, the taxi pulled over in front of an old building. They had arrived at a private clinic where the clinic would not ask for any information about the patients. As long as the patients were willing to pay, the clinic would perform the abortion procedure on them. The confidentiality of the procedure was very high. Of course, the fees charged here were much higher than those charged in official hospitals. Su Yunxian had already made an appointment with a doctor long ago. After Xiaoxi entered, she immediately lay down on the operating table. More than 2 hours later, she walked out of the operating theater with the help of the nurse, Mississippi. Her face was as pale as a sheet. Su Yunxian stopped playing games on her mobile phone and looked up at her. "Can you still walk?" "Yes." Xiaoxi grabbed her handbag and cap from the rack and said, "Miss Chen, let's find a place where we can talk." Su Yunxian did not tell Xiaoxi her real name and lied to her that her surname was Chen. When they made their way downstairs, Su Yunxian kindly held onto Xiaoxi's arm and she was extremely grateful for her help. In the quiet cafe, Xiaoxi took out the medical report from her handbag and pushed it towards Su Yunxian. "Miss Chen, don't worry, I won't tell anyone about this." Su Yunxian calmly placed the medical report into her purse and retrieved a bank card from her wallet. "I deposited some money into someone else's account. There's 10,000 yuan in here and the password is your mobile number. Xiaoxi, take good care of yourself. Women should treat themselves well. If you don't cherish yourself, who else will?" "Miss Chen, thank you." She grabbed the bank card with tears welling up in her reddened eyes, making her look extremely pitiful. Su Yunxian raised her brows slightly and said, "Xiaoxi, we're fated to meet, so let me remind you. The man who impregnated you might not really love you. He didn't even accompany you during such an important surgery." Tears rolled down Xiaoxi's face and she sobbed, "No, that's not it. I was humiliated." Hence, she was not looking forward to the arrival of this child at all. She did not dare to tell anyone about this matter, including her parents who loved her dearly. Su Yunxian was stunned. She had thought of many possibilities, but she did not expect this to be the case. She took out a piece of tissue and handed it to her. "Just take it that you were bitten by a dog. You're still very young and you still have a long way to go. Women, you'll only be looked down upon by others when you're strong." Xiaoxi grabbed the tissue and stared blankly at her beautiful face. She smiled and said, "Take care." Her slender waist swayed as she walked out of Xiaoxi's line of sight gracefully. Su Yunxian put on her sunglasses and hailed a taxi. Her slender fingers touched her handbag, and her lips curled into a smug smile. With this inspection report, she could ask someone to make it her own. In the old mansion in Bailey, the butler greeted Lin Yi and the others warmly. "Dr. Lin, you're here. Please come in. This is..." The butler turned to look at Xia Dong. Xia Dong was wearing a white shirt and a black work attire that hid her slender figure. Her shiny black hair was tied up in a bun and her neat fringe covered her smooth forehead. She wore a pair of black-framed glasses and her beautiful eyes were hidden behind the thick lenses. She looked very serious, just like a high school teacher who was patrolling around with a pointer. Lin Yi smiled and introduced her. "This is my new assistant, Miss Yi Si." Xia Dong pushed her black-framed glasses up her nose bridge and said, "Hello, I'm Yi Si." "Nice to meet you." Yi Si was also Si. When she spoke, her voice was slightly hoarse. This was the effect of the pill that Xia Dong had gotten from Mika Keto. "You flatter me. Dr. Lin, Miss Yi, this way please." The butler didn't pay too much attention to Xia Dong and led them to the second floor. Xia Dong was getting more and more nervous as they approached Bailey Yi's room. "We're here. Please come in." The butler walked them to the door and waited for them to enter before closing the door and standing guard outside. Lin Yi glanced at Xia Dong. Her neat fringe and black-framed glasses covered half of her face, but he could see that she was nervous. Her eyes were fixed on Bailey Yi, who was sitting in front of the desk. Her hands were clenched into fists as if she was trying to hold something back. Lin Yi was surprised. She seemed to have some special feelings for Bailey Yi. When Bailey Yun asked him for help and offered this job to Xia Dong, He only said that Xia Dong was interested in autistic children and needed a job. Now, it seemed like there was more to it than meets the eye. He smiled and said gently, "See, let's get to work." Xia Dong took a deep breath and exhaled slowly. Okay. During the therapy, Xia Dong realized that Lin Yi was really an amazing therapist. He had a complete treatment plan for Xiao Yi. In the first 3 months of therapy, he mainly trained Xiao Yi to be able to sense the outside world. He wanted him to be able to receive information from the outside world, such as language, movement, color, shape, and even emotions. When she saw Xiao Yi smile in the interactive game, her heart almost melted. Lin Yi patted his head gently and praised with a smile, "Xiao Yi is really a genius. You only took 2 minutes to solve this riddle." Xiao Yi didn't say anything, but the light in his eyes shone even brighter. 1.5 hours passed quickly. It meant that the therapy for the day was about to end. Lin Yi looked up at Xia Dong. Throughout the therapy, her eyes were on Xiao Yi. That kind of loving gaze made even him think that she was Xiao Yi's mother. Xia Dong felt Lin Yi's probing gaze and quickly looked away. Her expression was slightly flustered. Lin Yi smiled, "See, please take out the Zhechuan rings for me." Okay. Xia Dong took out the Zhechuan rings from the box Lin Yi brought with him and handed it to him. "See, give this to Xiao Yi." "Oh, okay." Nervousness gripped her heart. She squatted down and looked at Xiao Yi at eye level. She held the Zhechuan rings in front of him. "Xiao Yi, this is the Zhechuan rings." Bailey Yi ignored her, raising his head to look at Lin Yi as if to ask him why he had given him the 9 rings. Lin Yi smiled, "If you can solve the Zhechuan rings in 2.5 minutes, I'll take you out to play for a day." Bailey Yi's eyes flashed. "Are you willing to accept the challenge?" This was faster than the Guinness World Record. It was impossible for a normal child to achieve this goal in such a short time, but Xiao Yi was different. His IQ was many times higher than other children his age. Bailey Yi lowered his eyes as if thinking. 2 seconds later, he reached out his small hand and took the Zhechuan rings from Xia Dong. Lin Yi smiled gently, "Xiao Yi, I hope that one day, I can hear you say, 'Okay, I accept the challenge,'" in a proud voice. Bailey Yi didn't respond to Lin Yi's words. All his attention was on the Zhechuan rings. The rings were small and delicate, very suitable for children. His soft fingers moved quickly, and the rings made a crisp knocking sound. "Xiao Yi, I'll see you in 2 days. I'm looking forward to your performance." Lin Yi patted his head. Xia Dong looked at him reluctantly and followed Lin Yi out of the Bailey house. Lin Yi smiled gently in the car. "Where do you live?" "I'll send you back." Xia Dong paused. "Don't you have work in the afternoon?" Lin Yi tilted his head to look at her, a teasing smile on his face. "Yun has already told me that you'll only be my assistant when I go to House Bailey for outpatient treatment. He also specifically told me not to do anything to you." Xia Dong was embarrassed. "Mr. Lin, Yun was joking. Please don't take it to heart. I'm your temporary assistant now. If I'm absent, I'll cause trouble for you. Don't worry. I'm only at the Bailey house. When I'm at the clinic, I can handle it myself." He smiled, "So, don't worry and go do your work. I'll see you in 2 days." Lin Yi would only treat Bailey Yi every 2 days. "Thank you so much." Xia Dong was so grateful that she didn't know what to say. At the same time, she was also grateful to Bailey Yun in her heart. Xia Dong had to pretend to be 2 people in 1 day and appear at the Bailey house. It was a little stressful. She changed into a plain floral dress. Her long hair was curled into big waves and fell over her shoulders. Her fringe was combed to the side, revealing her smooth forehead and willowy eyebrows. After taking off her black-rimmed glasses, her eyes were bright. She was worried that the housekeeper would recognize her, so she put on some light makeup to make herself look more attractive. Although the housekeeper took a second look at her because of her beautiful makeup, he didn't associate her with the rigid EC. Xia Dong saw with her own eyes that Xiao Yi's condition was getting better in the morning. Even if she couldn't see him now, her mood was much calmer. After greeting the servants, she went to the garden to take a stroll. Bailey's garden was very beautiful and it took up a lot of space. She found a lounge chair under the shade of a tree and lay down leisurely. The cool breeze blew, and it was very comfortable. She couldn't help but close her eyes and put her hands on her stomach habitually. She was already more than 2 months pregnant and was a little sleepy. Lying here comfortably made her sleepy. Just as she was about to fall asleep, she heard footsteps. She opened her eyes and saw Bailey Han holding Su Yunxian's arm walking towards her. Attention, Xinwu 799. Chapter 140. Standing together, they really looked like a perfect couple. Watching them walk over, Xia Dong couldn't help but recall the scene of them walking down the red carpet hand in hand during the wedding rehearsal. "Miss Xia, how have you been?" Su Yunxian spoke first with a gentle smile. Bailey Han let go of Su Yunxian's arm and frowned. "Why aren't you in the living room? It was so hot outside." Wasn't she afraid of getting sunburned? Xia Dong had already stood up from the recliner and smiled lightly. "I thought it was beautiful outside, so I came out for a walk. If you have something to do, don't worry about me. I'll look around." Bailey Han was a workaholic. He was rarely late and left early. Coming back so early and with Su Yunxian, he must have something to deal with. Bailey Han nodded and held Su Yunxian's arm with one hand as they walked to the living room. Xia Dong lay down again. Just as she was about to fall asleep, Yi Lu jogged over. "Miss Xia, young master asked me to serve you. Are you thirsty? Do you like tea or other drinks?" Xia Dong thought for a moment. "Please give me a glass of orange juice." "Thank you." "Okay, please wait a moment." Xiao Lu quickly brought her a glass of fresh orange juice. She also held a fan in her hand. After placing the orange juice on the wooden table, she stood beside her and gently fanned her. Xia Dong quickly grabbed her hand. "No need, Xiao Lu. I'm not hot." "Miss Xia, you don't have to be polite with me. This is young master's order." She was shocked when young master suddenly asked the butler to call her over from the kitchen. She thought she had done something wrong. She didn't expect young master to ask her to chat with Miss Xia to relieve her boredom and serve her. Xia Dong was both amused and speechless. Bailey Han, the host, was really enthusiastic. He was afraid that she, a guest, would be neglected. On the other side, Bailey Han and Su Yunxian entered the study and sat opposite the old madam. Bailey Han said, "Yunxian, Grandma is here now. You can speak now." In the morning, he sent Su Yunxian to the hospital for a checkup. In the afternoon, he received a call from her, saying that the results of the checkup were out, but she wanted to tell the results in front of the old lady. Su Yunxian's charming cheeks were dyed with a touch of red as she embarrassedly said, "Han, I'm not deliberately keeping you in suspense. I just don't know how to say it." The old madam smiled. "What are you doing? Why are you being so secretive? Yunxian, if you have anything to say, just say it. Grandma will help you." Su Yunxian bit her lip. Finally, under her expectant gaze, she said softly, "Grandma, I'm pregnant." "Pregnant?" The old madam looked at Bailey Han in astonishment. She knew that her eldest grandson had always been restrained and courteous. When did the two of them develop to this point? Bailey Han's breathing suddenly stopped. His deep eyes were filled with shock and his heart was in a mess. She was actually pregnant that night. Xiao Yi had not recovered yet, and she had not been cleared of suspicion. She was actually pregnant. Even when he was 16 years old and alone on an isolated island to survive, he did not feel this way. He was helpless and at a loss. It was as if a strong hand had grabbed his heart, making it difficult for him to breathe, and his blood flow was not smooth. Su Yunxian took out the checkup report from her bag and placed it in front of them. "I'm 7 weeks pregnant. Bailey Han took the checkup report. It was clearly written on it that she was 7 weeks pregnant. No wonder she felt nauseous. It was a pregnancy reaction. After a while, he said in a hoarse voice, "Yunxian, I don't want this child." "No, Han, you can't do this to me." Su Yunxian's face instantly paled. She said agitatedly, "Han, this is our child. Do you remember what you promised me? You said that you would give birth to the child if you were pregnant. How can you say that you don't want the child now?" Tears welled up in her beautiful eyes. She grabbed his arm and begged, "Han, let me give birth to the child, okay?" Bailey Han's body stiffened. His deep eyes had a complicated expression. He held her hand. "Yunxian, I'm sorry. Xiao Yi is suffering from autism now. I don't have the energy to take care of another child. Also, I don't want Xiao Yi to think that I'm giving up on him." "Then you're heartlessly abandoning our child? He's already 7 weeks pregnant." Su Yunxian stroked her abdomen with heartache. "No matter what happens to us, the child is innocent. I beg you, let him live." She cried so miserably that tears rolled down her face. Bailey Han frowned. He wanted to say something, but he was interrupted by the old madam's sudden slamming of the table. The old madam glared at Bailey Han. "Ah Han, what do you mean you don't want the child? Since Yunxian is pregnant, you have to take responsibility. Marry her and let her give birth to the child." Although Bailey Han felt guilty, he insisted on his opinion. "Grandma, Xiao Yi's illness has just improved. If I marry Yunxian now, it will definitely agitate him." The old madam's expression stiffened. She sighed. "I know, but Yunxian is pregnant now. If you let an unmarried woman like her have an abortion, what will happen to her reputation? We, the Bailey family, can't do such an immoral thing. At worst, you can get the marriage certificate first. As for the wedding, wait until Xiao Yi recovers." Yunxian's child needed a legal identity. Su Yunxian sobbed pitifully. Bailey Han looked at her like this. He felt heartache and guilt, and his heart almost softened. However, when he thought of the thrilling scene when Xiao Yi fell down the stairs, he hardened his heart. "Grandma, I don't agree. I won't get married for the time being. The child can't be kept." Bailey Han said the last 3 words with difficulty. His heart ached fiercely and he felt guilty. Compared to the unborn child, he cared more about Xiao Yi. "Bailey Han, you're so cruel. Since you don't want to marry me, then the child has nothing to do with you. Even if people laugh at me, I want to give birth to the child. Don't worry, I won't use the child to ask you for anything." She grabbed the checklist from the table and angrily crumpled it into a ball. She suddenly got up and ran to the door. "Yunxian, Yunxian," the old madam picked up her walking stick and anxiously leaned on the floor. "Ah Han, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and chase after her. She's pregnant now. What if something happens?" Bailey Han pursed his thin lips and stood there for more than 10 seconds. He suddenly turned around and chased after her. The old madam leaned on the floor and sighed. "Sigh, how did things turn out like this?" Xia Dong was leisurely chatting with little Lu when Su Yunxian suddenly ran past them. She covered half of her face and looked very sad. Just as she ran past, Bailey Han quickly chased after her. Thus, Xia Dong and little Lu witnessed a dramatic scene. Bailey Han grabbed Su Yunxian's wrist from behind. Su Yunxian wanted to shake him off, but she didn't succeed. Instead, she was pulled into his arms. Xia Dong coughed awkwardly. "Well, little Lu, it's about time. I'll go to the living room and wait for Xiao Bao. I should go back to the kitchen to work." Little Lu cooperated and helped her up. The two of them quickly left the place. Su Yunxian struggled and pushed Bailey Han's chest. "Let go of me. I don't want you to care about me." "Yunxian, stop it." Bailey Han didn't know what to say. He could only hug her tighter. "You're pregnant. Don't be too emotional. Didn't you say you don't want this child? Why do you care so much about me? If something happens to me, you should be happy. Don't say things out of anger. I know I'm in the wrong. Bailey Han gently patted her back, trying to calm her down. Yunxian, let's calm down first and think about what to do, okay? She choked. I'm very calm. I insist on keeping the child. Bailey Han was silent for a moment. Yunxian, give me another half a month. If things still don't turn for the better, we'll get the marriage certificate first. She looked at him expectantly, her hand grasping his arm. What about the child? He didn't say what she wanted to hear as what she wanted to hear. Instead, he softened his voice. Yunxian, we can still have children in the future. No, it's different. Every child is an angel bestowed by God to their parents. They're all unique. No matter how many children we have in the future, they won't be him. Tears quickly gathered in her eyes. Her weak appearance was heartbreaking. His heart suddenly ached. That was his child. Although it was only a month old, they were still connected by flesh and blood. His originally firm thoughts began to waver. He hugged her tightly and said in a low voice, "Give me some more time. Let me think about it." "Okay, I'll give you time. Think about it carefully. I'm tired. Take me home." She slowly let go of his waist. She was weak and tired. On the balcony on the second floor, the two little guys saw the scene through binoculars. Xiao Bao threw the binoculars aside and sighed. "Although I can't hear what they're saying, I'm guessing it's not something good." Xiao Yi didn't answer. He also threw the binoculars aside, but his eyes became serious. Xiao Bao patted his shoulder. "Bailey Yi, let me remind you. You have to quickly think of a way to find out what's going on. Otherwise, when their old feelings reignite, you'll be crying your eyes out." Yesterday, Bailey Han was still cold and indifferent towards Su Yunxian. When Su Yunxian was sick, the old madam had to suppress Bailey Han to visit her. What exactly happened? Overnight, Bailey Han started to pull and pull Su Yunxian again. Xiao Bao rubbed his chin as he thought hard. The adult's emotional world was really complicated. Bailey Yi wasn't anxious at all. He picked up the 9 consecutive rings from the table and started to untie them. His indifferent expression made Xiao Bao go crazy. Forget it. If the emperor isn't anxious, why should I worry about it? You play by yourself. I'm going downstairs to find my mommy. Xiao Bao ran away angrily. Ad Hongcha 866. Chapter 141. Xiao Bao ran off in a huff. Xiao Yi used 5 minutes to undo the 9 consecutive rings and threw them aside. He straightened his little body and went upstairs to look for his grandmother. Old Madam was still worried sick at heart when a soft little body fell into her arms. She looked down and was immediately surprised and happy. Her eyes stung. My little sweetheart, why did you think of going upstairs to look for great-grandmother?" Ever since she developed autism, this was the first time Xiao Yi took the initiative to get close to her. How could she not be surprised? She picked him up from the ground and placed him on her lap. She stroked his hair with her aged hand and guided him patiently. "Baby Yi, tell great-grandma. Do you miss great-grandma?" Xiao Yi's little head nodded gently. Baby Yi was willing to communicate with her. The old madam's eyes immediately moistened. She hugged him tightly and choked with sobs. Good boy, good boy. If Ahan knew that Xiao Yi could understand what they were saying and was even willing to respond, he would definitely be very happy. This thought flashed across the old madam's mind. However, immediately after, she recalled Su Yunxian's pregnancy. Worry surged into her heart again, and she couldn't help but sigh. However, her sleeve was tugged. Xiao Yi stared at her with sparkling eyes. His little head was tilted, and he looked confused and worried. The old madam smiled kindly and stroked his head. Great-grandma is fine. If baby E is willing to talk to great-grandma will be even happier. Xiao Yi's big clear eyes blinked. Suddenly, she reached out and pointed at the photo on the desk. In the photo, Bailey Han was carrying Xiao Yi. The father and son's expressions were exactly the same, solemn and serious. The old madam chuckled and said, "What's wrong? Do you miss your daddy?" "He just came back but left again. When he comes back tonight, he will accompany you well." Xiao Yi nodded sensibly. Her precious little great-grandson had finally taken a turn for the better. The old madam was filled with emotions. The grandmother and grandson sat side by side on the sofa, each holding a book in their hands. The old lady turned her head to look at the little one beside her from time to time. His expression seemed to be a little sad. She leaned forward in surprise and found that he was reading Oliver Twist. The plot was about how Oliver lost his mother when he was just born and was sent to an orphanage. She reached out and stroked his hair, saying gently, although Oliver was an orphan, he met his maternal grandfather in the end. His maternal grandfather loved him very much, just like how great-grandmother loved baby E. Xiao Yi looked up at her, her clear eyes sparkling. She smiled and hugged him, taking the book from his hands. "Great-grandma knows this story. Great-grandma will tell you, okay?" He nodded Gigai. His pink cheeks puffed up slightly, and 2 cute little dimples were embedded in them. The old madam's gentle voice rang in the study. After she finished telling the story, she couldn't help but be filled with emotions. She stroked Xiao Yi's hair, testing his thoughts. "Baby E, do you want another person to love you?" Xiao Yi pursed his lips and tilted his head to look at her seriously, as if he didn't understand what she was trying to say. She smiled. "If Auntie Yunxian lived with us and loved you like great-grandmother, would you like that?" He fell silent. Just when the old madam thought that he wouldn't respond, he suddenly jumped out of her arms and ran to the front of the desk. He wiggled his butt and climbed onto the chair, taking the photo of him and Bailey Han from the desk into his arms. His cheeks were puffed up, and his eyes were round, revealing a guarded and angry expression. His actions and expression said everything. He didn't want Su Yunxian to steal his daddy away. The old madam's smile froze. She hesitated for a moment and carefully probed, then if Xiao Yi had a younger brother like Xiao Bao or a cute younger sister like Xiao Guai, would Xiao Yi be happy? Xiao Yi was stunned and seemed to be at a loss. Then, tears quickly gathered in his eyes and fell down like beads. He didn't cry or howl. He just cried quietly. His heartbroken look made the old madam's heart ache. She quickly pulled him into her arms. "Baby E, don't cry. Don't cry. Let's not have a younger brother or sister. Baby E is the only one in the family, okay? Baby, don't cry. You're breaking great-grandmother's heart." When Bailey Han came back at night, he heard from the old madam that Xiao Yi was crying. He didn't feel good either. He walked into his son's room with complicated emotions. Xiao Yi, who had just gotten better, seemed to be sealed in his own world again. He refused to let the servants near him and refused to let light in the room. All the windows were tightly covered by curtains. Bailey Han walked into the room and suddenly entered a dark world. He could only see a trace of light in the middle of the room. A small shadow sat in front of the light. He had just turned on the light when he heard his son's shrill scream. He had no choice but to turn it off quickly. He walked behind his son and saw that he was holding a small laptop and watching a video. Bailey Han's eyes swept across the video. His eyebrows twitched. The room in the video was too familiar. It was his own room. In the video, he and Yunxian were watching a movie on the sofa. Then, Yunxian went into the bathroom to take a shower while he went downstairs to take a shower. A few seconds later, Yunxian suddenly walked out of the bathroom. She took something out of her handbag, opened the red wine bottle, and put the thing in. Bailey Han's heart suddenly tightened. A thought suddenly entered his mind. A small figure suddenly appeared in the video. He was holding a bottle of red wine and climbed onto the chair with difficulty. He replaced the bottle of red wine with something. Bailey Han suddenly turned his head and stared at his son sitting next to him with dark eyes. He tried hard to control his emotions and didn't want to scare him, but, damn it. His son actually installed a surveillance camera in his room. He frantically and angrily searched his brain to see if he had done anything that was inappropriate for children. Although there were some scenes that made his face blush and his heart beat faster, at least it was under control. Even so, Bailey Han's cheeks were still a little hot. Fortunately, it was dark and his son couldn't see it. Concerns flashed through his mind, and several thoughts leaped into his mind. He was both shocked and in disbelief. Through this video, he could deduce that Yun Xian wanted to drug him that night, but his son replaced it with sleeping pills. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly fallen asleep in the middle of the night. In the dark, the father and son sat in front of the computer in silence. After some time, Bailey Han placed his hands on Xiao Yi's shoulders and said with an unprecedented sternness, "Xiao Yi, stop your peeping immediately. I'll let bygones be bygones. If I find out about it again in the future, I'll punish you without mercy." Xiao Yi ignored him and didn't respond at all. Bailey Han thought about his current situation and his tone softened a little. "Xiao Yi, delete all these things. If they leak out, it will cause a negative impact." Xiao Yi's fingers moved a few times and the video was completely deleted. Bailey Han rubbed his hair to show his affirmation. "Xiao Yi, did you put sleeping pills in the red wine?" He nodded. His guess was confirmed. Bailey Han frowned. He had fallen asleep, so nothing must have happened between him and Yun Xian. Did she really lie to him? Too many things had happened today. Bailey Han needed to calm down. Bailey Han sat alone on the recliner on the balcony. Facing the bright starry sky, he slowly closed his eyes and put aside all his personal feelings. He began to calmly and rationally sort out the series of events. A moment later, his eyes suddenly opened. His deep eyes were filled with coldness. He took out his phone and dialed the number of his family doctor, Suzha. "Suzha, do you know any Chinese medicine practitioners? I would like to ask you for a favor." In the middle of the night, Xia Dong suddenly woke up. Her forehead was full of sweat. She was still in shock and turned on the bedside lamp. She glanced at the clock. It was only 1:00 in the morning. She dreamed that she had given birth. Lying on the hospital bed, she was in so much pain that she was about to faint. After giving birth with great difficulty, the doctor brought the child to her. It turned out to be a deformed child with atrophied limbs. She stroked her abdomen with both hands in fear. As the pregnancy grew longer, the worry in her heart grew deeper. She didn't know if the medicine she injected would affect the child's development. She couldn't fall asleep after changing several positions. She unkindly dialed Yi Siki's phone. The phone rang for a long time before it finally got through. Yi Siki's irritable voice pierced through the air. "Xia Dong." Xia Dong quickly moved the phone away from her ear and laughed. "Yezi, sorry to disturb your rest, get lost. You better have something serious to say. Otherwise, I'll crawl out of your phone and strangle you." Yi Siki was worried that she would wake her husband up, so she went to the living room after answering the phone. "Then hurry up and crawl over. I need you to comfort me, what's wrong?" Yi Siki caught the change in her mood and pricked up his ears. Xia Dong touched her abdomen. "I just had a nightmare. I dreamed that I gave birth to a deformed child." Yi Siki paused and softened his voice. "Don't think too much. Even our Shihao said that although the medicine will affect the fetus, you didn't absorb much of it, so it shouldn't be a problem." "But the medicine is very strong," Yi Siki interrupted her. Xia, listen to me. It's useless to worry about these things now. Whether the child is deformed or not, you have to give birth to it for Xiao Guai's sake." Xia Dong leaned against the pillow dejectedly. Siki was right. Worrying about these things now was a waste of energy. Even if the fetus was affected by the medicine and became deformed, she had to give birth to it. Xia, don't think too much. What you need to do now is to take care of your body. I'm planning to take Nyonyo to the aquarium this weekend. Do you want to bring Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai along? Xia Dong smiled. Okay, then we've made an appointment. Hurry up and go to sleep. I'm fine now. Are you really fine? I'm really fine. Just treat it as my prenatal depression acting up. I'm full of energy now. Add Shinwoo 799. Chapter 142. Han, why did we stop here? Didn't you say we were going to an art exhibition? In the car, Su Yunxian looked out of the window in surprise. They were now parked opposite a traditional Chinese medicine hall. Grandma hasn't been sleeping well recently. I heard that this traditional Chinese medicine hall has an exclusive secret prescription for insomnia. Bailey Han opened the door for her. In the traditional Chinese medicine hall, there was a gray-haired old doctor in charge. Bailey Han told him what he needed, and the old doctor asked a young doctor to take out a package of Chinese medicine. Bailey Han grabbed Su Yunxian's wrist and said with a smile, Yunxian, didn't you have a pregnancy reaction, nausea, and a bad appetite? Let Dr. Su take a look at you. Su Yunxian's eyes flashed with a flash of panic. No, I'm fine today. Yunxian, pregnancy is a big deal. You can't be careless. Gigai, listen to me and let Dr. Su take a look. Bailey Han smiled very gently. He held her shoulders. It seemed gentle, but his strength was very strong. She couldn't resist at all and was forced to sit on the stool opposite Dr. Su. Madam, please stretch out your right hand. Dr. Su smiled kindly. Su Yunxian's face changed. She hesitated and refused to stretch out her hand. Dr. Su, I'm fine. I won't trouble you. She wanted to get up, but Bailey Han stood behind her. He held her shoulders with both hands and slowly pressed her down. He smiled gently. Yunxian, Dr. Su is known as a gynecologist. If you want him to treat you, you have to make an appointment half a month in advance. Don't be childish. Let Dr. Su treat you quickly. Han, Su Yunxian was flustered and didn't know what to say. All right, stop messing around. The smile on Bailey Han's face was devoid of any warmth, making people shudder. He pressed her shoulders with one hand and suddenly grabbed her right hand with the other hand and put it on the table. Dr. Su, please. Dr. Su touched his beard with one hand and felt Su Yunxian's pulse with the other. Su Yunxian looked at Dr. Su, whose eyes were slightly closed. Every second felt like a year. When she saw him suddenly open his eyes, she was shocked. Her momentary panic and loss of composure fell into Bailey Han's eyes. The smile on his face faded as he politely asked, Dr. Su, how is it? Su Yunxian's heart was in her throat. Dr. Su said slowly, Mr. Bailey, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Your wife is not pregnant. Bailey Han's eyes narrowed. His sharp gaze instantly shifted to the pale Su Yunxian. However, it was only for a short second before he regained his courteous appearance. He smiled and nodded at Dr. Su. Dr. Su, thank you for your hard work. However, I have to correct one thing. Miss Su is not my wife. Su Yunxian felt as if her heart had fallen into an ice cellar. She still wanted to make a final struggle. Her face was filled with disbelief. How could this be? I did an ultrasound at the hospital. The doctor clearly said that I'm 7 weeks pregnant. Dr. Su frowned and was a little unhappy. Miss Su, I've been practicing medicine for more than 70 years, and I've never made a mistake. Whether you're pregnant or not, I'll know by taking your pulse. Bailey Han glanced at her indifferently. His gaze was as cold as iron. She suddenly trembled, and the words that she wanted to say were all suppressed. She didn't know how she followed Bailey Han out of the clinic. When she came back to her senses, she was already in the car. Bailey Han's face was cold as he started the car without a word. Su Yunxian looked at his side profile and only saw a pair of malicious and cold eyes. She called his name softly. Han, he said calmly. Yunxian, I didn't expect you to lie to me. Su Yunxian was shocked. She knew his temper very well. The angrier he was, the calmer he would be. She quickly said, No, I didn't. Han, there must be something wrong. Let's go to another hospital and have a proper examination, okay? Something wrong? His voice was so calm that it was almost emotionless. Do you mean that the ultrasound in the hospital made a mistake, or that Dr. Su made a mistake in taking your pulse? Dr. Su is not a god. How can he know whether I'm pregnant just by taking my pulse? Tears gathered in her eyes. She looked so pitiful, but unfortunately, he didn't look at her at all. Bailey Han said lightly, Okay, then let's go to the hospital for another examination. Let's go to the first hospital. I have Dr. Zhang's phone number, so we can make an appointment in advance. No, let's go to another hospital. Bailey Han didn't choose the first hospital where she did the examination last time. Instead, he changed directions and drove to the City People's Hospital. He booked the number of Lin Shihao, the director of obstetrics and gynecology. There weren't many people in the obstetrics and gynecology department today. There were only 2 people in front of Su Yunxian. As time passed, her heart was in a mess, and she didn't know how to deal with it. Bailey Han received work-related calls from time to time. He walked to the corridor to answer them. Su Yunxian's eyes moved, and she had an idea. She quickly sent a text message to her mother on her cell phone. When it was almost Su Yunxian's turn to go in, Bailey Han received a call from old madam. He looked at the closed office door and pressed the answer button. When the nurse called Su Yunxian's name, Bailey Han was still talking to old madam. Su Yunxian hurried into Lin Shihao's office. Lin Shihao was the only one in the office. She went straight to the point and said, Dr. Lin, I have a favor to ask of you. She quickly filled out a check and pushed it in front of Lin Shihao. As long as you say that I'm 7 weeks pregnant, it's yours. Lin Shihao glanced at the check. There were 6 zeros on it. It was indeed a big temptation. He might not be able to earn so much money even if he was a doctor for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, he wasn't interested in this. He just wanted to be a responsible doctor. He said lightly, I'm sorry, I can't help you with this. Su Yunxian gritted her teeth. This is only half of the reward. I'll pay you the other half after it's done. His lips curled into a mocking smile. Miss Su, if you're here to see a doctor, I welcome you. If it's something else, please don't disturb my work. Lin Shihao, you should know the Su family's influence in City A. Since the temptation failed, Su Yunxian began to threaten him. She lowered her voice and her eyes were filled with bone-chilling coldness. There was a knock on the door. Please come in. Su Yunxian quickly grabbed the check and didn't forget to threaten Lin Shihao with her eyes. The door opened and Bailey Han walked in. His tall figure slowly walked over, giving Su Yunxian an inexplicable sense of oppression. He said lightly, Dr. Lin, I'm the patient's fiancé. How's the checkup? Lin Shihao recognized Bailey Han the moment he walked in. He was the man Xia Dong had secretly implanted. He didn't expect him to bring his fiancée here for a pregnancy checkup. What a coincidence. Lin Shihao smiled and said, We're about to start. Miss Su, please lie down on the bed. With Bailey Han present, Su Yunxian didn't dare to threaten Lin Shihao openly. She could only hint at him with her eyes. Unfortunately, he ignored her threatening eyes and calmly announced the results of the checkup. Miss Su, you're very healthy. You're not pregnant. In the hospital garden, Bailey Han and Su Yunxian sat side by side on a bench. Bailey Han said lightly, Now, what else do you want to say? She hugged his arm. I really don't know how this happened. Han, you have to believe me. He pushed her hand away bit by bit and said in a bone-chilling voice, Don't lie to me anymore. Yunxian, that night, you drugged the red wine. Unfortunately, Xiao Yi found out and Xiao Yi replaced your red wine with a red wine with sleeping pills. After that, I fell asleep. Actually, nothing happened that night. No, that's not it. We already had sex. Han, you also saw the bloodstains on the sheets. Su Yunxian's heart had never been so flustered. Damn it, how did Bailey Yi know that she had drugged him? Bailey Han rubbed his temples. You must have cut your finger and smeared the blood on the sheets. You know this better than I do, don't you? Yunxian, don't quibble anymore. I've already seen the video of you drugging him. Her face was pale and her shoulders slumped. She covered her face with her hands and cried helplessly. Han, I'm sorry. I just love you too much. I was afraid that you would leave me. I thought that as long as I had your child, would be able to hold on to your heart. Bailey Han didn't hug her and comfort her as usual. His trust in her was shattered by her own hands. Their relationship that was full of lies started to make him feel tired, painful, and deeply hurt. He armed himself with indifference. Su Yunxian, you disappoint me too much. It was the first time he called her by her full name. It seemed that he was really disappointed in her. She hurriedly grabbed his arm and cried without caring about her image. Don't go. I beg you, Han, forgive me just this once. I was just confused for a moment. I really was confused for a moment. He didn't turn back and only said coldly, Did Xiao Yi fall down the stairs because of you? No, I didn't. Su Yunxian denied repeatedly. Han, I've only lied once. Let's start over, okay? He frowned. I forgot that I shouldn't believe what you say anymore. I'm already very tired. Let's break up. She cried very sadly. We've been in love for 6 years. Han, how can you break up just like that? He stared at her coldly. You should know that I don't like scheming women. If it was in the past, he would still feel guilty when he mistakenly thought that he had taken her. But now, he didn't even feel a little guilty. 6 years of feelings and 5 years of waiting. He waited for her to return from England and thought that their relationship would blossom. He didn't expect so many twists and turns. He also didn't expect that the woman he loved deeply would become like this. He was very disappointed and heartbroken. He resolutely shook off her arm. Su Yunxian was caught off guard and almost fell to the ground. She staggered 2 steps and steadied herself by supporting herself on the edge of the chair. Bailey Han didn't turn back and strode away. Beauty novel, Songshu 566. Chapter 143. Bailey Han was extremely disappointed in Su Yunxian. No matter if she called or went to his office or home to look for him, he refused to meet her. What he didn't know was that Su Yunxian wouldn't let him go so easily. On Saturday, Xia Dong acted as Yi Xi's assistant and went to Bailey's house with Lin Yi. Before she left, she dressed herself up and made herself look old-fashioned and serious. The 2 brats rested their heads on their hands as they watched her fiddle with the clothes, commenting from time to time. Xiao Guai pouted. Mommy, you look so weird. You look like an old Andy who can't get married. Xiao Bao knocked on Xiao Guai's forehead. Gigai, you're so stupid. Mommy is an old Andy who can't get married. Xia Dong turned around and rolled her eyes at them. Who said I can't get married? My suitors are lining up from here to the Pacific Ocean. Xiao Bao sneered. Mommy, if you keep bragging, you'll be exposed. Xiao Guai giggled. Big brother, you're wrong. It's not that Mommy can't get married. Mommy doesn't want to get married. Xia Dong was moved to tears. She hugged her daughter. Daughters are really more caring than sons. I didn't waste my efforts to have a daughter. Xiao Bao rolled his eyes. Mommy, do you need me to remind you that it's already 8:20? There's only 40 minutes left before you have to go to work. Dr. Lin must have been waiting for a long time. I'm going now. Bye, babies. After some chaos, Xia Dong finally left. Xiao Guai watched her mommy leave like a gust of wind. Big brother, I suddenly feel like we're so happy. Xiao Bao was curious. Why? That's because mommy is the ever-changing Sakura. One moment, she's a strong woman, and the next moment, she's like us. She's like a little kid. It's so interesting, Xiao Guai laughed happily. That's true, Hua. Xiao Bao held her hand. Gigai, let's go. Big brother will teach you how to draw. When his mother was not around, as the only man in the family, he had to shoulder the heavy responsibility of taking care of his sister. Xia Dong ran downstairs and found Bailey Yun leaning against the Lamborghini in a cool pose, waiting for her. Fox, why are you here? Xia Dong was curious why Lu Xing did not stop him. She looked around and did not see Lu Xing. She guessed that what she said to Mika Keto last time was effective. I'm sending you to work. When you get off work, I'll take you to eat something delicious. Bailey Yun blinked his foxy eyes and flicked the hair in front of his forehead. He looked so charming. Xia Dong got into the car and Bailey Yun drove off. She quickly grabbed the handrail, her face pale. What's wrong? I thought you weren't afraid of racing. She still looked so heroic when she won the motorcycle racing championship. She covered her mouth. Don't drive so fast. I want to vomit. Bailey Yun panicked when he heard her. He quickly slowed down and turned to ask her. How are you? Do you feel better? Xia Dong took a deep breath. I'm much better. He frowned. Are you not feeling well? I'll call Lin Yi and tell him that you're not going with him. I'll take you to the hospital. She quickly stopped him. No, it's okay. I didn't sleep well last night, so I felt a little nauseous. I'm fine now. He looked at her suspiciously. Are you really fine? I'm really fine. I can even go up the mountain and kill a tiger. Xia Dong patted her chest proudly. Bailey Yun looked at where she was pointing and suddenly burst out laughing. It's been so many years. Why haven't you developed? Xia Dong was angry. Even if she wasn't as voluptuous as the sexy goddess, she was still very voluptuous. She was very voluptuous. Okay. I'm just joking. Did you hurt your pride? Bailey Yun saw that someone was angry and quickly freed his hand to smooth her hair. He stroked her hair like how he stroked Lil P. Don't be angry. I was just saying. Xia Dong turned her head and ignored him. What a hardcore guy. Yo, you're really angry. Look at your puffy face. It's like a bun. I really want to pinch it. This guy really did what he said and rubbed her face like a bun. Xia Dong slapped the back of his hand and said angrily, my face is not a bun. No matter how much you rub it, there's no filling. Focus on driving. You're so annoying. They were bickering when they arrived at Lin Yi's clinic. Lin Yi had already checked his watch twice when he saw Bailey Yun escorting Xia upstairs like a protector. He couldn't help but tease, so you're the one who sent Xia Dong. No wonder she's late. Xia Dong, why didn't Mr. Beitang send you here last time? Bailey Yun immediately exploded and yelled at Lin Yi. Old Lin, are you my friend or not? How can you take revenge like this? Lin Yi put on his coat and prepared to go out. Of course I'm your friend. It's commonly known as a bad friend. F***ck off. Bailey Yun didn't hold back and kicked his butt. Unfortunately, handsome Lin Yi was agile and nimble and dodged. Xia Dong pretended that she didn't see anything and said calmly, Dr. Lin, I'm ready. We can go now. Bailey Yun wanted to go with them and insisted that Xia Dong sit in his car. Lin Yi said faintly, letting Xia Dong sit in your car? Is she your assistant? Bailey Yun gritted his teeth and secretly warned himself that he must remind Lin Yi a few more times to not have any ideas about Xia Dong. Since it was Saturday, Bailey Han didn't have to go to the company. When they arrived, he was also at home. Xia Dong was worried that he would recognize her. Fortunately, he only glanced at her and didn't say anything. He led them upstairs directly. Today's rehabilitation treatment went smoothly. After it was over, Lin Yi asked Xiao Yi about how he solved the 9 rings. Little Wingzi took out the 9 consecutive rings, and Xia Dong helped him time it. Exactly 2.5 minutes later, Little Wingzi had unlocked all 9 rings. Lin Yi patted his shoulder in surprise. Well done. I'll discuss with your parents and arrange a day out. Xia Dong squatted in front of him and smiled gently. Xiao Yi, you're amazing. He looked into her eyes without blinking, as though he could see through her internal organs. She pursed her lips and said, "We'll be leaving first. See you next time." She really wanted to reach out and touch his face and hug his little body. They went out and turned right. Xia Dong looked down and didn't look around. She almost bumped into Bailey Han, who was coming up from downstairs. The two were very close to each other, almost touching each other. "I'm sorry." She subconsciously stepped back. When she realized that she was on the stairs, her high heels were already on the edge of the next step. She lost her balance and her body swayed. She quickly grabbed the railing next to her. Bailey Han had already reached out and wrapped his arm around her waist. It was a very familiar feeling. Because the two were so close, he could smell the faint fragrance on her body. It was also a very familiar smell. He suddenly stared at her face. Her long bangs covered her forehead and the black-rimmed glasses covered her eyes. However, it couldn't hide her gaze. His gaze was very sharp and dangerous. Xia Dong felt like she was being seen through. She struggled. "Mr. Bailey," Bailey Han ignored her. He raised his right hand and reached in front of her eyes. He was about to grab her glasses. Lin Yi suddenly coughed dryly. "Mr. Bailey, I'm sorry. My assistant offended you. I have something to discuss with you. Do you have time now?" Bailey Han paused and slowly retracted his hand. "Of course, Dr. Lin. This way please." He gave her a long look before brushing past her. Lin Yi nodded at her and followed him upstairs. Xia Dong's hand tightened on the railing. She remembered his gaze when he went upstairs. She didn't know if he recognized her. She calmed down and went downstairs. She sat in the living room and waited for Lin Yi. She knew that Lin Yi wanted to talk to Bailey Han about bringing Xiao Yi out. Would Bailey Han agree? In less than 10 minutes, Bailey Han and Lin Yi came downstairs, talking and laughing. It seemed like the discussion went well. Xia Dong relaxed. However, in the next second, Bailey Han said, "Miss Yi, there's something private I want to talk to you about." Private matter? What private matter could he have with Yi Si? Xia Dong wanted to cry. She didn't need to think too much. He must have recognized her. Since it was a private matter, Lin Yi didn't want to stop her. He could only give her a look that said, "Good luck." In the study, Bailey Han stood in front of the large desk. His handsome face was expressionless. His eyes were sharp and cold. "Yi Si? Should I praise you? Your disguise skills are really superb." Xia Dong coughed. "I can explain." Bailey Han looked at her coldly. "Say it." Xia Dong smiled. "It's because I've been interested in psychology recently and I'm unemployed at home. So I wanted to find a job related to psychology. Applying to be Lin Yi's assistant was purely an accident. Do you think I'll believe you?" Bailey Han looked at her with disdain. Even if you're interested in psychology, Lin Yi wouldn't hire a layman to be his assistant. "Tell me, what's your purpose?" Wearing high heels was really tiring. Xia Dong sat down. "All right, I'll tell you the truth. I'm just concerned about your son. I want to know about his condition and treatment. So I asked Dr. Lin for help. He stared at her eyes. Why are you so concerned about my son? She looked back at him sincerely and said softly, I like him a lot. Also, I feel that he makes my heart ache. Do you remember what you said when you asked me to bring Xiao Bao to visit him? You said that Xiao Yi doesn't have any friends. It was this sentence that moved me. I'm a mother. I can understand your helplessness as a father and your heartache for your child. His hand couldn't help but fall on the frame of her glasses. He took it off, wanting to see the things in her eyes more clearly. Beauty novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 144. Bailey Han's voice was a little hoarse. Just because of motherly love, you disguised yourself and came to my house? Do you think I'll believe you? Xia Dong smiled weakly. You can choose not to believe me. You've been loved by your mother since you were young. You can't understand the thoughts of someone who lacks motherly love. I lost my mother when I was young. I was mocked and bullied. At that time, I thought that if I have children in the future, I must love them well. You're right, I have motherly love flowing. He was obviously her own child, but she couldn't hold him in her arms. She had to sneak into someone else's house like a spy and secretly observe his every move. When she was caught, she had to find an excuse to hide the truth. Who could understand her heartache? Her eyes were sparkling with tears, and her eyes were filled with grief. His heart clenched, and he could not help but think of Su Xingqian's voice recorder, where Xia Dong was bawling in front of her mother's grave. Perhaps, what she said was true. His eyes were as dark as water. She wiped the corner of her eyes and smiled. Don't stare at me like that. I can't help but want to cry. Look, I'm already crying. I'm sorry, I won't come again next time. The way she forced herself to smile actually made him feel a little distressed. He frowned. Damn it, why did he still have sympathy for this liar? He should have given up on her long ago. He thought in his heart, but the words that came out of his mouth were, "You're Lin Yi's assistant. You report to him about your work." Xia Dong grinned. I know. I'll tell Lin Yi that I'm quitting later. Bailey Han's facial muscles twitched uncontrollably. Idiot, did she have to make it clear? His face darkened and he said stiffly, since you're already his assistant, you should do what you're supposed to do. Xia Dong couldn't believe it. You agree? Bailey Han gritted his teeth. Idiot. Wasn't it obvious? She felt a little wronged. Who asked him to look so fierce just now? But forget it. As long as he agreed to let her continue to take care of Xiao Yi as Yi Si, she was very satisfied. She tilted her head and looked at him seriously. Bailey Han, has anyone ever told you that you're really a good person? Other than her, everyone else called him the cold-faced king of hell. His pretentious, serious and conflicted expression made her feel refreshed. She couldn't help but laugh, so I'm the first one. Then I'm really honored. Bailey Han's facial muscles twitched as he asked calmly, why did you resign? Xia Dong almost couldn't keep up with his jumping thoughts. She was stunned for a moment before she realized that he was talking about the position at Glamour magazine. She lowered her eyes and chuckled. I have to take care of Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai. I also have to take care of the baby in my belly. I don't have so much energy to work. He looked down at her. You like that job very much. When she was working, she was completely different from her usual self. That passion burned in her eyes, and she exuded a confident charm. She looked up at him with complicated emotions surging in her eyes. In my heart, the children are more important. For them, I can give up anything, including my life. His eyes narrowed, and there were traces of the ice in his heart breaking. He began to doubt his judgment. Was such a loving and motherly woman really someone who loved vanity and clung to power? After a long while, he said calmly, Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai are very lucky. They were very lucky to have a mother like her. It was obviously a compliment, but Xia Dong felt that it was extremely ironic. Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai's luck was exchanged for Xiao Yi's misfortune. She looked at him and said tentatively, "I've never heard you mention Xiao Yi's mother, she's already dead." His expression was indifferent, as if he was talking about a stranger. Xia Dong's heart suddenly jumped. Dead? How did she die? Bailey Han sat in the chair opposite her and looked casually in a certain direction with a cold expression. Car accident. I heard that she was going abroad with the man she loved. On the way to the airport, she got into a car accident. Xia Dong was sweating profusely. Even if Bailey Han hated her when she escaped from Japan, he didn't have to curse her so viciously. The corner of her mouth twitched. You don't seem to like her? I can't remember what she looked like anymore. We met at the wrong time. However, I'm very grateful to her for giving birth to Xiao Yi. He looked at her calmly without any emotions in his eyes, but it made Xia Dong's heart suddenly jump. She murmured, "It sounds very complicated. Can you tell me how you met?" She was really curious to see how he would twist the truth. He frowned. Why are you so interested in this matter? Nothing. We're just chatting. It's fine if you don't want to talk about it. He stared at her for a long time until she was sweating profusely. If I remember correctly, Dr. Lin is still waiting for you downstairs. Phew, she was finally free. She almost thought that she would be exposed. She was overjoyed. I can go now? Did I stop you? Bailey Han's face turned green. Was she that unwilling to be in the same room as him? No. But young master, you didn't ask me to leave. How would I dare to leave? Xia Dong thought to herself. Just as she walked to the door, young master's cold voice was heard. I plan to take Xiao Yi out tomorrow. Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai can come with us. She wiped her sweat. I've already made plans with Siki tomorrow. We plan to take the children to the aquarium. She also wanted to go out with Xiao Yi, but if she dared to stand Siki up, she would die a horrible death. Bailey Han was expressionless. She laughed awkwardly and waved her hand. Then I'll be leaving first. Just as she was about to turn and leave, young master said coldly, What time tomorrow? Huh? What time? I'm asking you, what time are we going to the aquarium tomorrow? The veins on Bailey Han's forehead throbbed. He found it unbelievable that he would suggest going to the aquarium with her. Oh, we've made plans for 10 o'clock. The young master said stiffly, see you outside the aquarium tomorrow. Oh, okay. See you tomorrow. After Xia Dong left the study and walked to the stairwell, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. Brother Shen would definitely go with them tomorrow. If the two of them were together, wouldn't they be at loggerheads and part on bad terms? She wanted to scratch the wall. Could she back out now? Why was it that whenever she was in front of Bailey Han, she couldn't think straight? Why did she always do something crazy? She could almost imagine how dark Bailey Han's poker face would be if she went back on her word. He would even use his knife-sharp gaze to kill her, so the next day, the situation was a little out of control. No, to be exact, it was out of control. The three families met in the parking lot at the entrance of the aquarium. Mika Keto was holding Gigai, while Xia Dong was holding Xiao Bao's hand. They looked like a family of four. Yi Siki and Lin Shihao each held Nyonyo's little hand as they walked over slowly. The two families gathered together and laughed happily as soon as they met. The three children, especially, were jumping and jumping around happily. A Rolls-Royce drove into the parking lot ostentatiously. Bailey Han stepped out of the car holding Xiao Yi's hand. When Lin Shihao and Yi Siki saw Bailey Han, their expressions were normal because they had heard from Xia Dong that Bailey Han would be coming with them. But Mika Keto was different. Her deep eyes suddenly turned to Xia Dong. She clasped her hands together and blinked ingratiatingly. She lowered her voice and said, Brother Shen, if there's anything you want to say, let's talk at home, okay? Mika Keto's expression was very bad. His handsome face was emitting a cold aura. He gritted his teeth and said fiercely, "You've learned to lie to me? Brother Shen, I beg you. Teach me when we get home tonight, okay?" Bailey Han and Xiao Yi were getting closer and closer. She looked at him with her big watery eyes and begged anxiously and pitifully. Beitang Shen was furious. He was furious that she had agreed to be Lin Yi's assistant without consulting him first. He was furious that she had risked her life to take care of little Wingzi in the Bailey family. He was furious that she had acted first and reported later, taking care of Bailey Han on a family gathering like this. But when he saw her pitiful expression, he couldn't help but soften. In the end, all his conflict and anger turned into a flick on her forehead. He gritted his teeth and glared at her. "I'll deal with you when we get home tonight." Xia Dong held her aching forehead and tried to please him with tears in her eyes. "Brother Shen, you're a great person and don't hold a grudge against me. You're a magnanimous person." From the corner of her eyes, she saw that Bailey Han and the others were already 2 meters away. She quickly shut her mouth and giggled. Mika Keto was angry and helpless. He ruffled her hair. Bailey Han was like an arrogant king. Standing in a place like the parking lot, his arrogance and domineering aura couldn't be concealed. His indifferent gaze swept across the few people without batting an eyelid. When he saw Lin Shihao, his eyes moved. He didn't expect that the director of the obstetrics and gynecology department of the People's Hospital was actually the husband of Xia Dong's good friend. Lin Shihao saw that his gaze was on him and nodded politely. "Mr. Bailey." Bailey Han also nodded his head out of courtesy. Finally, his gaze fell on Mika Keto. Mika Keto's cold and arrogant gaze was fixed on him. The two of them looked calm, but the turbulent undercurrent was felt by everyone else. Xia Dong quickly smiled. "Since everyone is here, let's go in." She took out the tickets that she had booked beforehand and distributed them to everyone. After entering the aquarium, there was a disagreement. Xia Dong considered that if they were to visit the aquarium as a group, they would be too conspicuous. Moreover, the combination of Mika Keto and Bailey Han was too dangerous. They could explode at any time. Therefore, she suggested that everyone split up and visit different aquariums. Then, they would make an appointment to leave the aquarium together. However, Bailey Han disagreed. He said that bringing Xiao Yi out to play was to let him have more contact with the outside world. Therefore, the father and son pair would follow the group unswervingly. What he said was reasonable. Xia Dong had no reason to refute him. Therefore, the large group of people marched forward. Ad Songshu 566. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.